Hello! We are live!
Are we?
We are live. I believe we are. I hope so. Say stuff. Say stuff and things. Be
Hello!
funny.
Stuff and
We are live! Oh god, I should probably turn that off.
That's the same thing as going up to a fat guy and telling him, "Hey, you're fat. Eat something."
Eat something.
I'm giving myself too much credit.
A little bit. A little bit
Hey,
too
you're
much.
fat. Eat something for me.
Oh jeez.
Like it's a street performer. Here, eat something.
All right. Swallow.
All
sword.
right. Let's introduce ourselves from the left to the right. So it'd be with Naetle first.
Hi, I'm Andrew Bluette, and I'm the creator of the thing that you're going to see at the end of the night. We should have introduced in the opposite order.
We didn't plan this through.
Well, that's fine. All right. Hi, I'm PT Pod number 11. I created Endgame. What Naetle didn't leave out is he's been on both projects, helping immensely with both projects, and he's working on another project that we're going to talk about after we do the commentary streams for both Endgame and for Primus. I also made Machinima topic, and I'm an alcoholic.
I remember when that was my bit.
And last but certainly not least, I'm Solar-Storm. I'm the writer and director of the Arc Files and the Primus Legacy, both a machinima and a full-fledged novel, hopefully in like 5 years' time.
5 years. You're giving yourself too much credit.
A little bit too much credit. We're talking more like 17 at this point. I mean, see how long that prologue is? Without further ado, PT, do you want to just go over what we're going to be doing?
All right. So the schedule we've got going here. I'm not going to write this out. We're just going to state it like this, and then everyone who wants to join in will just kind of see as it's going on. I know it is a sausage fest until you realize that Naetle is actually a woman.
Mm.
No.
I mean, you guys call me Natalie all the time. So fun fact. When I met these fuckers, this was 6 years ago, 2012. I still went by Naetle07. That's my gamer tag still to this day. But since then, I've been trying to change my sort of online handle. But these guys have special N-word privileges. They get the Naetle privilege.
We have N-word
N-word privilege.
N-word.
God.
That's a
So-
weird, is it?
Yeah, so like if you hear them call me Naetle, it's fine. I've got the name down there, Naetle07. It's fine. I just don't call myself that. It's fine.
All right. So the actual schedule we've got going here today is we're going to start with Solar's projects. We're going to start with Arc Files 1 through 4. Is it 4?
Yep.
Okay.
I thought it was 5.
Nope, 4.
Yeah. There was a fifth one.
It was in development,
point.
but
Yeah.
that was... Yeah.
We'll talk about that one in a minute here.
Ooh.
We're going to go through all the Arc Files. We're going to go through Primus Legacy. We're going to take... I mean, this is a stream, so all throughout it, if you have any questions about any scenes, just ask questions right there. We'll answer them to... I'm sure we can answer most, if not all of them.
Yeah, the best of our
then-
abilities.
Yeah, and then any ones that we do miss, or anything that you have any questions on, like a theme or just the overall bit of the machinima, save till the end, because we're going to have about a 20-minute, or just until we run out of questions, bit of just Q&A until we answer everything we feel we need to. And then after that, for Primus, we're going to take a 15-minute break. We're going to come back with Endgame. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to watch the ring game, do a 20-minute Q&A, and then we have something new to announce. So that is our stream schedule today. To get through all of Primus, it'll be a little bit longer than an hour, and to get through Endgame will be just short of an hour, and then 20-minute Q&A. That is our schedule for tonight, and thank you all, everyone, for coming by.
Okay. I guess we are gonna... You guys all queued up on Arc Files number 1?
Yeah.
We are.
Alright. Are set. Go then. Alright. On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1, go.
We are the best of the best. That's what Command is always telling
Oh,
us.
Holly.
We are the
Fantastic
heart of the
actress.
AUN. We are
Was
among
she the original
bravest
narrator
soldiers in the
that you lost
galaxy,
at some
they say.
point?
No,
or-
so the original narrator was
Oh,
actually...
that's right. She's a different character.
We don't believe them.
Yeah, technically.
Most of High Command
But the
sits in
original
those
narrator was
showrooms
actually
office
male.
buildings. I bet
He,
they've never even seen Primus
wow,
before.
like that was
The missing
4 years
link.
ago I casted him.
Our ancestors.
Sorry to
Finding them
kind of
changed
jump into
humanity's
this.
history forever.
Let's introduce ourselves because this is also going to be content.
Never
We were streaming
thought
this
I'd have
live,
to
and
kill
so
one.
we're going to introduce ourselves again and introduce what this is. So Solar, if you would like
Okay.
to start us off.
Okay, so once again, my name is SolarStorm25. I am the
My
writer
first
and
mission
director
for
of the
73rd
Arc Files and the
Arc
Primus
Regiment
Legacy.
was simply none
And
of us
so
expected.
right now, the Arc Files is
We
a
were
story
handed
of
down a
the
task from
airborne,
one of
a
the High
member of the
Primus
Airborne
Council.
Ranger Commandos, a special
Apparently, the
operating
rogue Primus clan had settled
team
on one
of the
their
Alliance of United
colonies,
Nations
where
that
they
handles
wanted
within the
humans to
Primus
do
Legacy
their dirty
universe.
I was just a grunt back then.
No, that was a giant
Working on
ramble. PT.
assignments that no one else had.
I am the assistant director of photography.
This-
Anytime there were any
this was
issues
different.
that he may have had with a
I
shot or
fought
two,
side by side with the
I
Primus
would
before.
fix it and
Their
give
immense
him
height
feedback
and strength easily intimidates.
on the Primus Legacy,
none of us
including
like
our
to admit it.
files.
And
I've
I'm Andrew
seen how
Bluet,
these beings
and
fight on the
I
battlefield.
cut the
They
release
go
trailer
through
for the
decades
Primus
of
Legacy.
intense training.
In reality, Solar
But I had
was
never
so
seen
far
such a
along with
brutal
Primus when we
display from
started
the
SNAPT,
Primus
and
before
he
that night.
had such
I
a
don't think
thought-out
I'll be able to
vision
forget the image.
that it was difficult for us to help him because he had so much of it figured out already.
Mm-hmm. Alright, that was the first episode. On to number 2.
All right.
That was all introductions, but alright.
I mean, that's why we don't reintroduce ourselves, and just the Arc Files is just gonna be one long commentary video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Ready on 2?
Yep.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, go.
The body was still warm. That's what I
Stuart,
remember
this
most.
is a
A Primus
commentary
female with
stream
a
for,
6-foot spear shoved through her abdomen.
for what SNAPT
completely
Films has
pinned
done,
against the
starting with
tree.
Primus Legacy,
We knew
called
Primus
Arc
was
Files,
strong,
which is the
but
prelude to Primus Legacy, and then
This-
following it up with Endgame.
The
we knew there was
CGI
nothing we could do for the
was
poor girl.
absolutely fantastic at the time,
So
but
we
man, did I
continued
overpay
onward.
for it. It's the only CG throughout the entire series. Oh,
What?
When we
nothing.
came across the campsite of the rogue
OBS like
Primus,
choked for a second.
I could sense the fear in my
Oh,
comrades.
jeez.
but
Because of
we
your camera's
pushed
off,
right?
forward.
This one, I believe, this
Yeah, I've got
one.
my camera off.
Yeah,
Everyone
this one
so
was, I believe, the
scared.
first one that we were
The
working on,
exiles
the
are
first
one
Arc
thing.
Files.
But hunting an
I
intelligent
believe
enemy
so,
that
yeah.
could easily rip someone apart was
Actually, no,
not
I was
something we
working on
wanted
number
to
1
keep
and
on
2
our minds.
simultaneously. But I
Our
think
two
the
snipers,
second
McCoy
one
and Davis,
was,
set up their
because it was the
shots,
shortest
while
of
the
the
rest of us
series,
scoured
it
the
was the
area
one
for
I
dangers.
finished probably first.
Bodies,
I just
were
noticed
everywhere.
the release date on this,
Men,
November 30th, 2016.
Yeah.
children,
Really? Oh my god.
whoever these bastards
It was
were.
almost 2
They
years
had
ago,
no
and
sense of mercy.
Primus itself
The
didn't come
bodies
out
were all
until
Primus,
following
but
August.
it still
Yeah.
infuriated us to no
The
end.
original release schedule was going to
From
be
that point
uh,
on, we declared that
Primus
blood
coming out
would be
on
spilled.
December
We all took our
21st,
positions,
Winter
lined up
Solstice,
our
and then
shots,
have all the Arc
and
Files
sent
leading
the
up to it.
bastards a one-way ticket straight to hell.
Oh, her execution on that last line, that was oof, great. But the original actor, he had, what's the word? He had such an amazing drawl on his voice. I listened to his lines just on my phone, even when like I wasn't even working on the cinema. It was just spine chilling. Hello, Nesta. All right.
All right, let's take just a couple of minutes. We can cut this out of the content part. So to answer anyone that was joining late, this is a director's commentary stream for all of our Snap projects, including Endgame and the Primus Legacy. The Arc Files is an intro series that leads up to Primus Legacy, and the Primus Legacy. Solar, can you give a small synopsis of it?
Oh god, I really got to work on this. So,
Elevator pitch.
in Primus Legacy, humanity discovered that, of course, they were not alone. But instead of finding aliens in the galaxy, we discovered our ancestors. And the Primus have this giant civilization for hundreds of thousands of years, but they were keeping secrets from humanity that eventually led to full-blown war.
And what's unique about this series is, or I guess the Arc Files and then the Primus Legacy, was that it not only had its own language, but it
Which you
just
will see.
had this. Yeah, it had. You'll see that language in due time, but it just had this expansive universe of like extra lore put into it. It is the machinima is kind of like a Kickstarter. We aren't asking for money, but it's just
it's not a Kickstarter. It's sort of a ground zero.
sorry, a Kickstarter. You know what the term used to be before it became, oh, give us money. You know.
Yeah.
It was a kickstart. There we go. Kickstart for the book series of the Primus Legacy that Solar is writing right now.
And I will go into that one right before we start up the initial episode.
Okay, so let's get back into it with Arc Files Part 3.
Yes. My favorite of the series.
All right.
3,
Solar
2, 1, go.
The rogues were dead. That was the only good news. The bad news?
I forgot just how good this voice actress was.
She was fantastic.
She was ID'd as
It was great working with her too.
A warlord who was escorting the civilians to safety. She was the only warrior of the group. But the worst part about
She's
it
like
was
the movie theater voice actor.
she was the daughter of the
like the
Primus
movie trailer.
Imperial warlord.
I love this shot.
One of the
female
members of
Don
the
Fon-
Primus
Don
High
LaFontaine?
Council. And that was who we
Remember
were about
Don
to meet.
LaFontaine, guys?
I
She was
don't know
not
who
very
that is.
happy
He was
to
the movie
say
trailer
least.
guy, you know, in a world.
Yeah, right. I remember.
Yeah, he died a few years ago.
The Primus
As we
and
were
even Arc
redeployed
Files
back to
heavily
the AUN
used
Gemini,
the
our CEO
modded
sent us a Primus
game
distress
types for
signal
Halo
that was
Reach, if you
calling
remember.
for all
Yep.
reinforcements with
Mainly in order to produce
Primus
different
Counselor
sizes for
Lexan
the
had been
character
surrounded
models.
within a stronghold by exile forces.
Can you talk about that shot we saw just a moment ago with the spaceship?
We all looked at each
So
other,
that shot
knowing
was
full
that
well
was
we
not
were about to
CGI. That
teach
was
the
taken out of a
Primus what it
game
meant
called
to be
Sins of
an
a Solar
airborne
Empire
Ranger
Rebellion,
commando.
and there was an amazing Halo mod for it called
Primus
Sins of the
soldiers
Prophets.
swarmed the battlefield,
And I figured out a
engaging the
way to use a free
exiles in
cam
every
mode,
manner
and
of
I was able
combat.
to capture
As we jumped
images
from
of the
gunships
marathon
into the
class you saw
chaos
there.
below, I remembered the
Yeah,
Primus from the
at
night
that
before.
time, Sins
civilians who
of the
died for
Prophets
nothing.
wasn't really that well known,
And
but
the
it's become
rogues
very
that
well
paid the
known in
price.
the last year or so
These
Oh,
in the
yeah.
Halo
Primus,
community.
however, were much different. Strong, noble,
When was the
honorable.
last time we played Sins of the
But
Prophets?
no
Oh, wow.
Primus shocked me more.
And here's
I
the
think
money
we
shot.
arrived shortly after we dropped. Imperial
Hey,
Centurion
look, it's Legacy of Echo
Compass
Chapter 4.
had arrived.
The soundtrack for this, it was never corny like Epic. It was always like just the right amount it needed to be.
I made sure. Siege, we can go into that during the Q&A. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
So remind us during the Q&A.
Yeah.
I will make a note of it.
All right. So with log number 4, are we all ready?
Log
with that
number
one?
4. Echo.
Yeah, all right, ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
We humans call them Echo Team.
And I cringe at the name
Why?
because they are no longer named Echo Team.
Not for sure.
Ugh, God.
But I remember them well. Of course, how could I not? One of them was nearly 8 feet tall, and the leader rallied all the troops on the field under his own command, utilizing
So-
each and every individual soldier at his disposal.
I'd love to go into the solar
An
theory
Imperial
at some
Centurion of
point.
the Primus Vanguard. Tempest
What-
was
oh,
the
for the
solar
solar
theory.
they had.
Right.
Never
Pretty much
before
what
had we seen a
transformed
legion with
this
such
machinima
precision
into the Primus
and
Legacy.
skill.
From Legacy of Echo Chapter 1.
Before we knew it,
Yeah.
Echo Team had
I
dominated.
agree,
the
Nesta,
battlefield.
but Solar Stoker.
I don't use the new YouTube layout. It sucks.
I mean, no, like you can get a Chrome extension. That's what I use.
Oh. You gotta give me that after.
Counselor Lexan was distressed beyond belief. When
Oh
we
yeah,
had
this is
confirmed it
the
was
one
her
that I
daughter in the
basically came
forest,
up with all the visuals for
Yes,
on
Yes,
the
you
spot,
did.
isn't it?
Like, I was so
Outrage,
stumped with this episode.
depression.
It's like, and the majority of it is just a very mellow
Did we truly
narration,
feel
but I
bad for
could
this
not
woman?
figure out what to do.
Of course. But what were we supposed to say to one of the most powerful
Yeah,
people
like,
in the galaxy?
So I
The
asked,
counselor could barely keep her
I basically
composure,
asked Solar,
so
like,
we
all
were
right,
asked to
well, what
leave.
is the script? Or I think you sent it to me.
While we waited for our
And then I
gunships
looked
to
it
return,
over, and
we
granted,
were
this is
approached
like,
by
whenever
one
you
of the
explain the
members of
universe to me,
Echo
you always
Team,
went in so much detail
Primus,
that it would
for
go over
short.
my head.
Yep.
She
And
told us
stuff
that
wouldn't stick
Counselor
because you just
Lysanne
kept
was
throwing
grateful
more
for
and more
our
info at me,
actions
but I
and
distilled it
invited us
down
to
to
join
what
her
you
for a
had
special
in
ceremony to
the
commemorate our service to the
log
Imperial Empire.
script for Arc
Such
4.
ceremonies were
And
excluded
I
to
just came up, I
prestigious
just started
warriors only.
spitballing
We
imagery
looked at
on
each
the
other in
spot.
disbelief.
And
But
every
who are
time,
we to
and
turn
like,
down this
you
offer?
were all over it. Like, I think there was like one or
When
two
our
things that
transport
you weren't
finally arrived,
totally on board with, but
I
we
took
quickly
one last
found
look
that,
at the few
figured out
members
something
of
else.
Echo
But
Team who stood guard outside the facility. A single thought crawled through my head.
So this line right here
Something told me that we would see them again.
was supposed to be the
And it was
continuation.
right.
So actually, while the credits roll for this, I'll just begin to explain. So, so with the ARC files, I was originally setting it up so that there was going to be probably between 3 and 4 episodes of the ARC files between each main installation of Primus, leading up to, I believe, book 4. And well, of course, since Primus is canceled, that's not going to happen. But the narrator,
as a machinima.
well, as a machinima, yes. But the narrator we had here, she is actually named, and she was going to be incorporated as a supporting character when book 4 rolled around. I had the majority, like the main point of the series was that she was telling her story about her first like initial contact with Echo Team and like how the Primus interacted with humanity during the war. Sort of a prelude.
Yeah.
We don't need to go through the rest of the credits.
Alright,
Unless
well, I
they're
can explain the solar theory right here.
Oh yeah, do it. Go for it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the solar theory, so Primus, I mean, you've already kind of seen the scope of what this story is. It used to be a Halo machinima about just like a foreigner construct.
It was it was
Spartans and humans.
Yeah, literally, it was like
Human
just a
versus
generic
Covenant
human
machinima
coming.
number 35042.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I'm sorry, but
I mean, I was gonna say, like, with Legacy of Echo, I was trying to put my own twist on it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make it super original. It's gonna be the most original Halo machinima ever. And no. But it wasn't until I realized that I could actually write my own universe and incorporate everything into that. It's like, oh, hey, this is pretty cool.
so
That's
I'm
pretty
gonna
neat.
I'm gonna rush it through a little quick.
Yeah.
So what transformed Legacy of Echo into the Primus Legacy was Solar was writing something for a college entrance paper. Is that
No,
correct?
it was for my senior project in high school.
Senior project in high school, and he was in a writing stump at that moment. And with this project, he had an idea for Legacy of Echo. He's like, "Oh, this is cool," and he's writing, he's going for it, and then it clicked with him. This is one giant piece of. I don't remember the.
All right,
before.
so what really happened?
Plagiarism.
What happened was my school were copyright and plagiarism Nazis. So because Halo was, it's already a registered IP, I couldn't actually write anything in universe without getting slapped with an F. So one of my old friends was just like, "Oh, hey, why don't you just change the names of everything?" I'm just like, "No, I can't do that. That will take away the value of everything." But 15 minutes later, after thinking about it, I realized, holy crap, I have an entirely different story here.
Changed the Spartans to Primus, changed the Marines to humans, and the elites
To exiles.
To exiles. And then after they're like, "Oh, I like these names, let me work with them," and it just took off from there. It took off in a completely different direction. And so that was the solar theory, that just changing names might give way to a little more creativity and might spark some interest in something a little more unique.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Of course, that's not to say that Primus is just Halo with different names.
Yeah.
Oh no, absolutely.
Primus
not.
is completely its own thing. Although it's basically Halo fan fiction if you really think about it. But whatever. So we are going.
It's like it's Halo fan fiction, but not. Like it's assumed its own identity.
All right,
It,
so
it shares some common DNA, but it's
yeah.
assumed its own identity.
So we're gonna move on to the Primus Legacy trailer right now, just so we
The
can
official
show.
trailer.
Yes,
Trailer or trailer?
the
Oh jeez. Inside jokes.
So we're gonna show like kind of before and after. So you'll see the full spectrum. Like in the trailer, it was released a little less than a year before the main project. So there's a lot of before and after that you're gonna notice when actually watching the episode. So you guys ready?
This is the release trailer we're looking at.
Oh, I'm looking at the official trailer.
Oh, whoops! Oh, we've all got the wrong links. All right, that'll be a cut in the actual.
Oh gee,
commentary.
I had freaking Legacy of Echo Chapter 3's trailer pulled up. You tricked me.
Markiplier
a
X
trailer?
Jacksepticeye? What?
I don't like either of those people.
All right, you guys on the trailer?
I am finding it right now.
It's on the
It's
on
in
the
the
top of the
playlist.
playlist.
What?
The,
Oh,
no,
shit,
the release,
there it is.
the release trailer
Oh,
is
okay.
at the
Okay,
bottom.
I see. All right, I'm ready.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're back.
It's already out.
Yeah,
This was September 14th, 2016.
The
On
reaches.
Halo.
wait, I
sixth
thought we
anniversary.
were doing the release
We
trailer.
were never
No,
meant to
a
find
official
the
trailer.
forgotten past.
Naetle!
We
Are
just
you
said
kidding?
it.
No, because like you had official trailer pulled
Oh
up.
my god!
Oh my god. All right, hold on.
Oh, this is a disaster.
Oh,
Oh yeah, we're super professional. now,
it'll
so-
pause it at 25 seconds. We are not going back.
25. Oh, we can't spare 25 fucking
No, we
seconds.
can't.
Okay.
We can't.
Okay, in the year 2097, humanity achieved galactic travel.
3,
25
2,
seconds.
1, go.
Create
Back
a
again!
peaceful society.
Back again with the white
You
vans.
know that's not
Back
possible.
again.
You do understand
So
that we're
when this
in the
came
middle
out,
of
back.
it was on Halo Reach's birthday, the 6th birthday of Halo
One
Reach.
without
And I
worry
believe
of
at that time
corruption.
there was like a community event going on to for a bunch of Halo machinimas to come out.
And that right there
It was headed by Nightmare Films. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I vaguely remember.
And so you were in a hurry to get this done, so you could be part of that.
Yep. And it really helped.
Soldiers of my rank must remain anonymous.
Remember when you used to voice the main character?
Yeah, I'm so glad I didn't.
We get
I,
back into
I
the
think
fight.
everyone
We've done
who made
nothing but
Machinima
fight for the
voiced their-
humans'
voiced their own main
Exiles
character
are huge
first.
and they show no mercy.
Yeah.
Everyone starts somewhere when it comes to writing. So, don't shame people for doing self-research.
No, not absolutely not. It's just something to think about.
The corrupted
Yeah,
were
like
never
if I
supposed to.
said otherwise,
They were never
then
meant
I'd
to
be a fucking
prosper
hypocrite.
into
Look at
their
Lost
own
in Reach.
civilization.
Also, I loved that shot. The Dutch angle.
Yeah.
It was turned into a Dutch angle.
Do you remember all the wigglers? That
The
were-
wiggle!
The wiggler effects!
Chance we met face to face with the one.
That's how you
creature
make a
we
shot
never
look more
contained.
intense. You add a camera shake to it.
That was one of the first effects I did. Helmet and the
Did
visor.
you know? Did
Alright,
you
we're
guys
done.
know that? Obviously, a lot of Hollywood films they have they do shaky cam in action scenes. They shake the camera during production, and then in some cases, even though the camera was already shaken during production, like while they were filming, they will actually shake it even more in post.
Jeez.
I did not know that.
I did not know
Yeah,
that
it-
either.
Yeah, I mean, it's to hide it's to hide the fact that you've got like no fight choreography, or whatever you want to go about with that, whatever you're using it to hide. It's always used to hide something.
All right.
All right.
Now with the Primus Legacy, Book 1, the main event.
I
Well-
thought we were looking at the release trailer now.
Oh, shut up.
Fuck off.
No, I
So-
mean like I
No,
was
we're not.
serious. Okay.
No.
Nah. So one comment I wanted to make is the trailer music that y'all just heard, was a song I just randomly stumbled across on YouTube, and I contacted. Actually, every basically every piece of music I used in Primus, I contacted the individual composers to get their consent. So when I contacted Sarah, the composer that did the trailer music, she was like, "Oh yeah, you can absolutely use it. And also, if you need an audio engineer, I'd be happy to help you out." I'm just like, "Oh, okay." So,
But more on that during the commentary.
yeah. All right, so we are going to start with book 1, the only book you'll ever need when you're about to start reading a book for the 12 minutes of prologue.
All right, he's digging himself a hole. All right, we're going in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. How did this shot start, Solar?
This was actually a remake of the very first shot from Legacy of Echo Chapter 1. I realized I really wanted to make it a hell of a lot better than it once was.
I remember.
And I did it.
I remember I watched all 3 chapters of Legacy of Echo, but I honestly don't remember Chapter 1 opening with a shot like this. But then again,
a forgotten past.
then again, like I don't even remember much of Legacy of Echo. No offense.
Nearly
None
16,000
taken.
cycles ago, we were determined to create.
All right, so
a
explain
peaceful
this intro just a
society.
little bit.
So
One
with this
without worry of
narration, I really
corruption.
wanted to create a more cinematic
Our
approach that
solution
Halo could,
Was a
and I really could
sentence of
achieve.
infinite
So what you're
exile.
seeing here is
To a
Halo
planet far
Legends,
from our empire's
Destiny
influence.
cutscenes.
planet
You're about
that
to see a
is
Mass
now
Effect
called
cutscene right here.
Earth.
I mean, I really wanted to make it as immersive as
The
possible.
corrupted were never
I mean,
supposed
granted,
to
it does
thrive.
kind of take
They were never
away
meant to
from like
prosper into their
the
own
proper
civilization.
machinima feel, I guess.
But we made the mistake of leaving
But
them
I
alone
just
for too
wanted to go
long.
for full-on
But the
cinematic
time
feel
we
with the
learned of their
narration.
technological
Yeah,
advances,
there's a
it was
point where
already
it's
too
like
late.
you have
They
to
had conquered galactic
you have
travel,
to
and
come
by
to terms with the
complete
fact,
chance, we met
or
face to face
with
the
possibility,
one
or
creature
even
we could
the
never
reality
contain.
that to tell your story, you may have to go beyond. You may have to break some boundaries. Like for example, there are people who don't consider RB the chief machinima because a lot of it is with the toys. But you know, it's if you lose the toys, then you kind of lose what that show is. But that's just one example.
And the thing I wanted to do with Primus is I didn't just want to make a machinima, I just wanted to tell a story. That's all I wanted to do. So, I mean...
Machinima was just the visual aspect that was more achievable.
Yeah, exactly. And now, read a book.
Take a look.
So...
Then a book.
Reading
Primus
Rainbow.
So even before the episode was released, we all were kind of at an agreement that, yeah, 6 minutes of text exposition, not the best idea to start a series, but there was just so much lore that I was trying to cram in before the series even started that this was really the only outlet I could really think of at the moment. But what we're actually seeing right here, from the dates between 2145 all the way to the end of this exposition, this is actually the lore of the entirety of the first novel that I'm writing. Everything you're seeing here is all part of that novel, but you know,
You ready to
extremely.
put spoiler tags over everything?
You've now given the viewers absolutely zero reason to read the first book.
Oh no, all 9 viewers.
Oh, no.
But I mean, listen, this is about trade routes and just like talking about.
Oh, so it's the Star Wars prequels.
Oh yes, exactly.
Oh, they wouldn't want to. They wouldn't have wanted to read it anyway. I don't know. Were the prequel were the novelizations of the prequels any good? I
I
don't
didn't
know.
know there were novels for the
Oh,
prequels.
oh yes, there is.
There were.
I knew there was Clone Wars stuff.
So
There
it's-
were like proper like adult targeted novelizations, and there were also children's novelizations.
Okay. So. So
Sarah-
what I was. Sorry, you continue.
All right. Well, I was gonna say Sarah went in and did all of these little sound effects that you might be hearing. Except for this, I did that. Anyway, PT, you were saying?
I wasn't saying anything.
Okay. But so it's like right here, like this is the important part, and I really could have just taken 5 minutes to make a proper exposition of characters talking and stuff.
I think it would have been a bit more than 5 minutes because there's just so much information
there's
here.
There's so much, I know.
And the thing is, like, it's not impossible for this information to really come out organically without front-loading the audience. The thing is, you'd have to add scenes, and you'd have to interweave that dialogue into pre-existing scenes, and you'd have to get the cast to record new lines, and you'd have to go and body act new scenes, and then capture those scenes, and then edit it all together. It would add a whole lot more work.
Oh, yeah.
And you'd already missed the winter 2015 deadline.
By a long shot.
What was the original release date?
Fall 2014 was the original release date. Then I pushed it to winter 2015, and then it finally came out in summer 2017.
But not even that. But when he said winter 2015, he meant like January, February, like early in the year.
Right.
Because I remember when he first told me that, I go, winter 2015, that's so far away. It's like, no, I mean like January or February. Like, okay, so only 8 months away. I can wait for that. Okay.
The thing is, though, we said that to him after that trailer already went up.
Yeah.
Yep.
We still get a fucking kick out of it. The fucking memes that we made amongst ourselves. Should we share some of those later?
Maybe.
Some of the memes that we made about winter 2015.
Winter
I think they were almost all about winter 2015.
So here's more of the Sins of the Prophets footage that I used.
And there's also the Hotline Bling or Drake one, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. That was a fantastic shot. I didn't even use the wiggler there. That was just in-game wiggle.
Yeah.
So this is this piece right here. This is the end of the first novel, or close to it.
So we're continuing into the second novel here.
So this is the start of the second novel.
Also, for anyone curious about why the year seems to have jumped so far ahead, the 2000s, the 4 digits, as Solar explained to me, though that's the human calendar, the 15,000 whatever, that's the Primus year.
Yeah. And we're at our kits.
Where was this planet from, Solar? How did you get this?
I made it myself in After Effects.
You made it?
I can't remember the process I went through, but I made it.
I remember it was a 3D mapping that you did, and then it was like mixed with After Effects. So all the sound design in this is all different. It's from other games, correct?
The majority of it, yeah. So listen, you're gonna hear footsteps throughout the entire episode. Sarah did each and every individual footstep.
Right, who's Sarah?
The audio engineer that I explained at the beginning.
Okay, I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Well, I mean, elaborate a bit more for the audience.
Alright, well, once again, Sarah is the sound designer, audio engineer-ish person who I technically hired, also volunteered her services to, refine all the sound for this. And she did a fantastic job.
I really like that depth of field shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel too forced.
Yeah, Sarah did a lot of work, a lot of little subtle stuff that normally you wouldn't hear and is kind of put into the background. But let's say she had a major sense of humor.
Oh yeah, we'll hear that
we'll get to that one later.
Oh, that shot took so long to film. Oh god.
So that gravity hammer, like it was coming in like totally horizontally. Is that how it was in the game, or did you?
That was in game.
Oh.
There's a melee option where he swings it over his head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the one that we took.
Okay. I know which one you're talking about. I thought that was like composited from another shot into that.
Technically,
it was. It was.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wouldn't be able to get it lined up otherwise.
So everything. Oh, yeah. This shot.
This is my favorite shot. This sequence are my absolute favorite shots in the entire episode.
These shots are absolutely gorgeous.
It took me so long to do it, but
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a blue screen map stage
there are
in
several.
Halo Reach. I know of one, but I'm gonna talk briefly about my experience with one. It's like in the Coliseum in Forge World.
Corvettes. Oh, wait, you're talking about that blue screen stage. Oh, no, that thing is terrible. No, there are people actually modded the maps to remove the skybox.
Oh,
and, yeah, and that's what I used.
Okay, that you got off easy. No, that's not to downplay the work you did. The shots fucking great.
No, so you should be getting a Mass Effect 3 vibe because I used a lot of the soundtrack. So what you guys are hearing right now, this is a completely original language that I wrote for the episode. It's primarily, the foundation of it is Latin, but I added in Hungarian, German, Swedish, mixture of other Germanic languages, and I assembled it all into some sort of coherent language, and the actors executed it phenomenally.
Yeah, considering they are incredibly talented for being able to convincingly speak this language, which is entirely fictional.
This actress right here, she's only 16. She's nailing it.
Jesus.
She's 16?
She was 16 in the recording of the lines.
Damn.
Back to what I was saying about the blue screen. You got a map that had its skybox removed.
Yes.
The stage in the Coliseum on Forge World, like Solar said, that wasn't a very good blue screen. It wasn't a very accessible one either. To actually use it, you needed After Effects, and you needed to basically create layer upon layer upon layer and make certain adjustments for each layer so that you'd have a more or less solid blue, and even then it'd be a bit fuzzy, and it was really fucking dodgy. So, some people made it work better than others, but that's the only blue screen stage I knew of until just now in Halo Reach. And honestly, I thought you used that.
Nope.
But now that you've told me that you just had a lack of skybox, I am far less impressed.
Darn. Secret's out.
Sweet sauce. Also, that Mass Effect 1 shields down sound effect.
That's actually the weapon vent. Mass Effect 3.
No, the beeping.
Nope, that was that.
Oh, okay.
That's actual the venting from Mass Effect 3. I remember that.
Okay, because I was getting Vietnam flashbacks to Mass Effect 1. I lost shields.
Oh God, Nesta. I was gonna reply to Rosa. The language again. I forgot it.
Yes, Grumpy, we've all lost shields.
Oh, Mass Effect 1. God.
Matutinis varas lapsus adexuke. Disformity partum videretur. Erectus vos personality.
So who are these characters?
So this is Counselor Lexin, the orange one, and purple is Counselor Damos. In the Primus Empire, there are 4 major clans, the Lexin, Damos, Valan, and Nostra. And, well, there are... In the lore, there is 62 individual clans that are known. But the 4 major powers are really what everyone kind of associates with. Lexin is the military spearhead council. So she's basically the leader of the armies and everything. Damos primarily is for political leadership.
I like that hologram. I remember I did something similar similar to that in Halo 4 for a short that I actually won first place in animation for in a film festival when I was a senior in high school. It's not particularly good. It was just the most impressive thing that was there.
And this is the most impressive thing here.
Category. All right, now this shot is, I don't care what anyone says, that shot's impressive. because you didn't blue screen that. I know that for a fucking fact.
We photoshopped it.
My dad photoshopped the helmet for me.
Wait, your dad did that?
My dad did.
Oh no, he put it in. I cut it out, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So this planet I did not make. That was taken right from Mass Effect Andromeda because I did not want to make another planet.
It looks significantly worse.
Yeah, it does.
It does. You did a better job in AAA game development. There's a little Easter egg. There's me and Naetle.
Sorry, I'll stop.
Yep. That's us.
It was originally someone else, but it became me and Naetle.
Yeah, like the goal was to have cameos for the two people who, like, it wasn't their passion project, as it were, cameo in some way, shape, or form in these projects.
So the first, or up until now,
did you hear
or
about
even
the new EOD guys
continuing,
from the 56th Regiment? The exiles were
up until
them
when
before a
this
giant
commander
Primus came out
walks
of
in.
nowhere and saved their asses.
Originally,
You're
we
full
had
of shit, dude. That's
one
not what I
continuous
heard.
shot.
Oh yeah?
That we had.
What did you hear?
Of a camera following these two guards walking all the way through the corridor, and then all the dialogue you saw off to the side, those would have been characters in passing, and then it would have gone up to this character and followed him over to Echo 1, or as his actual name is,
Gallon.
Okay. I can't remember.
No, I thought his name was question mark.
It's technical. So actually, Echo 5 says his name at the very end, but I really don't think anyone caught it.
I'm not very interested.
So
The transmission was just
I never really
received
went
from
into
some
depth
official in
with
Vanguard.
the
Your
lore
team,
of the military ranks
excuse me,
here,
your
but
legion
Echo 1
has been
is an
summoned
Imperial
to Origin.
Centurion, and Primus
about
military,
time.
that's
Could
like,
you at least pretend to be happy
and
that you're leaving?
human-wise, Supreme Commanders are our best officers. Imperial Centurions command legions of several million soldiers. I think my lore for the Imperial Vanguard that Echo 1
Major?
leads
You're not going
is
anywhere,
like
Commander. Not
17
until
million
your new
people he
officer
leads.
arrives. Until then, I'm still in charge
If I
of
remember
you.
correctly.
You're really gonna
So
pull
he's
that on me?
extremely
Damn it,
important.
Commander. I don't care
Um,
how high you stand
What's
in the
the
Primus
total
military.
Primus
Your
population
superiors
of the
sent
galaxy?
you and your legion here. For what purpose, it seems neither of us know.
I don't think I
but
actually
I
have
am
an exact.
instructed to watch
I don't
over
think I have an
you
exact
and
number for
your
that,
team.
but
And what a wonderful
they
job
have
you've done
they've got
babysitting us. We've been
close
alive
to
longer than your
800
grandparents.
colonies
Oh,
across
now you're
several
gonna pull the
celestial
age
bodies.
card, huh? Age
Um,
means nothing.
So we're
Especially
talking
when
at
one of your
least
soldiers has
several,
been making
maybe close to a
mess of the
quadrillion
science
people.
ring ever since he got clearance.
I warned you about
Jesus.
Raw's explosive reputation.
That
I'll
you
supply
do
the
realize
credits
how
for all
big a
repairs
quadrillion
necessary.
is.
I do,
You're
but
a
you know,
piece of
for a
work,
spacefaring
you know
empire
that.
for 15,000 years. I mean,
It is a million billion people.
actually, oh wait, no. The original empire was close to a quadrillion.
Commander,
This
please stop for a
empire,
moment.
probably
We
several
never had a
trillion.
chance to simply talk, and now you're just going to
That makes
walk
better sense.
away.
We've had nothing to discuss.
9 weeks. 9 damn weeks. Can't even tell me your damn name.
In the book,
No,
Echo 1 is
Imperial
6'7", Brooks
Soldiers
is
of
only
my rank
5'2".
must remain anonymous.
Actually,
That's
5'4".
a load of bullshit, and
So he's a
you
little
know it.
midget.
He's a little
The
midget.
AUN's top
Little-
3
little
supreme
strong
commanders
man.
are
He's a
known
little
throughout
person.
the galaxy.
So,
Everyone knows
so
who
I'm gonna
Olympus
take a
is.
shot in the dark
What's the
that the
point in
reason
hiding your identity?
thinking that the reason why
It's for
there's
my
not that
safety.
much of a height difference between the two
That's
in
it.
the machinima is because if you
If you're done with
made
your questions, I'd like to summon
either
my legion and
either of
meet
them
with them
too big
before
or
a
too
transport
small,
arrives.
then their
The AUN
footsteps
Stargazer,
wouldn't match the
ship
distance
that
they're
is meant to
moving.
pick you up
Actually,
won't be
no.
arriving for
They.
another 3 hours.
Oh, actually, maybe. But
After
actually,
maintenance,
the
you'll be
bodies
able to
would
leave at
become
approximately 1300
very
hours.
large or very
You'll have
tiny.
plenty of time to meet with
So
Captain
Brooks
Levant
is
in
at
the
a negative
meantime.
1 height. Echo 1's at a positive 1 height, as opposed to
Something
a
wrong,
neutral 0.
Commander?
Nothing.
The tallest
move
height
on.
I used was positive 2, and the smallest I think I used was negative 1, or maybe even negative 2. Because any higher than that, and the textures actually start to stretch, and you can see through them.
Okay, and
where's his
I'm assuming that
destination, Major?
IO was a
Frontier
+2.
Memorial
Io
Space
is definitely a +2.
Roger that.
I love IO.
Io is nearly 8 feet tall.
He's still shorter than a brute.
For a second, I thought we were talking about a planet.
No.
Io.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Gonna be a long flight, Commander. Better rally your team.
I love that the mod that finally brings passenger Falcons
Send word to my
into
Legion. Tell them it's time to return to Orket.
Halo Reach multiplayer
Have
maps.
them rally at the Human Frontier Memorial Spaceport. We're going home.
I'm really glad that this mod came out so that we could use it. It made that shot just look that much better.
Oh yeah.
Imagine if they were on the chain guns. That wouldn't look nearly as great.
It's like, all right, we're transporting you. Get on the gun. What?
Wiggler.
That wasn't supposed to happen.
And was this the first
What the
scene or
hell
the
just
second
happened?
scene done?
Probably that Primus again.
First, actually.
Damn it.
You know the drill, suit up.
So this is where it all started.
And
in
the
production.
alarm should be sounding
All right, so
in
here's something
3,
I find interesting.
2,
You guys remember Sword Base in the Halo Reach beta?
My visor is
Vegas
filthy.
now.
In the beta, Sword Base was
that's
like
better.
totally pristine. There was like no damage
some
or
shit's got in my
debris or
hands.
anything. And then in the
Seems
full
I
game,
still
you know,
have
you had
some
like
time
crack
before
panels and
Mr.
you had some
Sergeant
like
gets
dust
here.
and like
I really
some
have to run to double-check
some
the
dirt
kinetic
and
energy circuits
debris and
before messing
stuff
with them.
scattered about in the hallways and
Always
such.
forget
And
how
seeing the broken
explosive
wall
they can
there,
get. It's a
that just
wonder
kind of
you use
reminded
them
me
at
of that.
all.
And you just kind of use that
Note
to your
self,
advantage.
Human combat armor is not
And did
compatible.
you
you
like
can't
the
get
visor
percentage
brushing off right
shields.
there? That was all one take.
What the hell are
Yeah,
you
that was
doing
such a
down
cool.
here,
Wait, that was
Primus?
all one take.
One take.
Oh, just experimenting.
I set
Yeah,
up
like-
I set up two characters in this exact same armor, one with black visor, one with silver, and I put one behind the other and just crouched them.
blasted a hole through the frickin' wall.
Yeah, I think that was the
I'm
first
sorry
thing. I
my
think the scene was the
project
first scene you ever
blew up.
showed me of Primus.
I'll
Well, this was the
Probably.
first one he ever did.
Eventually.
Oh,
Just put it on the command.
Yeah, we just said.
We go through this.
okay.
how
I
many
thought, I
times?
thought so.
About 4.
Get with the program.
Maybe 5.
I'm getting really sick and tired of your crap, Primus. It would have been a
I
whole
really
lot
don't
better
like
off
this scene,
without your kind.
honestly, the writing.
If it wasn't
Really?
for you,
The
exiles would
writing
have
of it,
never
I
found
just,
Earth.
I don't know, I think it's probably my least favorite.
I think the first scene
Sorry,
that you really
excuse
worked
me.
on.
Pardon
Hold
me.
on.
What's she going to do? Scold him?
Hey,
Oh.
if guns won't scare a giant, maybe an angry
Wait, did they-
woman will.
Did you cut that line?
What
Oh,
line?
the ow my foot.
Echo 3.
No,
There's
you
a
missed
message
it.
for you in the comm
Ah, I
center.
missed it.
Could you please come with me?
Wait, what?
So one of the other voice actors, Solar
right.
called me. He goes, "All
Show me
right,
the way.
this guy can't even
Excuse
do
me,
this line
gentlemen.
right."
Sir, whose turn
And he
is it
sent
this
me a
time to
line
get
that
yelled
said,
at
"Ow
by
my
the engineers
foot,"
for
but
damages again?
somehow he
Send a
managed to
report
say
to
it
the
wrong.
captain.
So they didn't tell me what it was. So I'm
I
like,
need
"What do you mean
vacation.
he says ow my foot wrong?"
Like, how did he say it?
Yikes.
I
Ow,
don't remember.
my
I think it
foot.
was
You made a mess of
Yeah,
this.
it was
very
just-
monotone.
Well,
Ow,
But I
my
was
foot.
imagining
Monotone
like,
and
"Wah,
accenting
my
the
foot."
wrong
The
syllable.
record, fortunately.
Ow, my foot!
She gets like really high in pitch. My foot.
Miss, where's the fire?
Pardon?
You're
All that
walking
debris.
fast. Is something wrong? I have never
The
seen anything
contrast
like
in
this
height
before.
between these characters
She's
is even
so
more because they're on an
curious.
elevated
Nothing's
surface.
wrong. I'm just
Yeah, I
excited
think
that I get
that's
to
the
talk
point.
with
I mean,
Primus.
use your
Or
your
wise,
mouth
she's
to
probably
Nonetheless.
5 foot. He's closer to
Curiosity
6'8".
is now an
so-
understatement. Is there something I can do for you?
Oh my god, yes! I'm so sorry. I haven't introduced myself properly. Diana Burns.
Diana Burns is
xenobiologist
precious
at
and
your
must be
service.
protected at all costs.
Oh, she studies aliens. No wonder she's so interested in me. Might
So
as
I
well
really
be
wanted to
frank.
use these black and white kind of
Ah,
internal
indeed.
thought
It's
processes
nice to meet you,
to
Miss Diana.
showcase
I
more
am
of what the book
Rakesh
is,
of the
is
Valar
to like
clan.
really
If you have
get into
any
the heads of
questions
each
at
character.
all, I'd be happy to answer them. But first, allow me to retrieve the message.
This
Fourth
is-
player
you
film
only
is
do that
asking
in-
about CG. No
What are we
CG.
waiting for then? Let's go.
In regards to the thought processes with when the screen goes black and white, you know, it's like you said, you were doing that to get more for a feel of the book. Was that the only scene where you did that?
No, actually, you'll see more.
Okay, because it's been a while since I watched Primus. Okay, I remember when you showed me this.
This one, I really like the fight scene here.
Yeah, it's... Despite the fact that Halo Reach is very limited when it comes to melee,
Deal.
if you shoot if you shoot it right, yeah, and you frame it right, like how a lot of the assassination animations are being used, you just frame it. You just frame it a certain way,
Just give up
and you add certain sound
I'm just waiting
effects,
for you to stop
and
prancing
you
around like a
completely change the
child in love.
context.
Zion, talk to Beth.
There's your voice acting.
Yep.
I don't think I did any voicing in this.
I don't think so.
I know I didn't. Now, weren't there some criticisms of cutting to black there?
Yeah, I think there was, but you know what? I liked it.
All right, pay up.
Damn it.
Game, set, and match.
Naetle, I don't know
Sorry,
if you
Zion.
voiced in either this
Maybe
or
next
anything.
time.
You're really
I know I didn't.
You know that guy?
I know I
Give
didn't
it
voice
another
anyone in
few years,
Endgame,
then maybe you'll beat me.
and
Yeah.
that was
Don't
because.
get used to it.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah,
when we get to
talk about
Endgame.
that later.
Okay.
What? Oh hell.
The quid quarters. Pugnut superpostus it had on
So this voice actor,
I recognize
he's playing Sovereign Centurion Arm,
Arm
and
again.
well,
Ever since
you know,
he got
when I
here, he's been a
first
thorn
casted
in our
him,
side.
I thought he
Can
did a
you really blame
fantastic
him?
rendition
He lost his
of the
entire
character's voice. He was
legion when the
supposed to be
exiles
a
invaded Coulson.
grizzled war veteran,
Only
much
reason he's here is
older
to
on the
recover from his
spectrum.
injuries. Some warlord you are for not knowing.
But
Hey, I've had more important things to
after
take
it
care
was
of.
released, I
Yeah,
kind of
like what?
realized he sounded
We've
like
done
Discount
nothing
Bane.
but fight for the humans' entertainment.
I don't hear
remind me.
Bane.
He's still good, but
He is very good,
you
but
just hear a little
can't
bit
wrap
of
my
force
head around that.
in it.
it's
The
a little.
only-
Centurions
Like
command
the only
legions
problem I
of up to
have with
10,000
him isn't
soldiers.
even his
You're
performance;
telling me he
it's
lost every
the
single
recording.
one?
80% to be exact.
it peaks a lot.
Exiles
Yeah.
attacked
But
Coulson in
I
full
think
force.
like his voice and
It
his
was barely
performance
defended,
as Aram
and
are
Aram
absolutely
was the only
fantastic.
sovereign able
He
to
definitely
respond to
sounds
it.
like
What remains of his forces are
like
scattered
a veteran
across
of
Coulson
many
cities.
wars
He
who
barely made it out
has
alive.
seen conflict,
By
who
the ancients.
who
the hell are
know
we
who
getting
know
back
who's seen
into the
enough
fight?
to know that he does
Sooner
not
than
want
you'd
it, but to know that
expect.
it is necessary.
And as you can see by the robotic arm,
Sovereign
and
Centurion
how
Arm.
Kai was
What
just
brings you
explaining
here
how he
today?
basically just
To watch
lost
that horrid
10,000
excuse of a
soldiers.
sparring match, of course. Your form is
Wasn't
all
Limey
wrong,
going to voice his
Kai.
character?
I thought the order
No,
taught
he was
you
going to voice
better.
Norzak
With all due
in the prologue.
respect, it's been a very
Right.
long time since I trained with the
I
Justicars,
miss
my
Limey.
lord.
Yeah.
Very little excuse for what you should know. As for you, Warlord Tall,
Limey was a
your
great voice
emotions
actor.
got the better
I
of you
never
once
got to
again.
use
Had you
any of
watched
his
your
lines or
junior's
anything,
footing,
but
you would
he was
have
always a
known she
great
could
voice
easily
actor.
counter your attack
I think
with
it's
a
fair to
spear.
say
I learn
that
only from my
out of
mistakes.
any of us
Spoken like
who,
a true warlord.
who had
But your
Limey
actions beg to differ.
in any of our
Nevertheless,
stuff,
I did not confront the
I
two
probably
of you on
got the
poor
most
fighting
off the wall
performance.
shit from him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Warlord
absolutely.
Tempest has instructed
little off
me to
tangent there,
pass
guys.
on a message to your legion. A human ship will be arriving in a few hours to transport your legion to
I was
Orchid.
gonna say something.
Rakesh and
lost
Iverson
it.
have already been notified and are on their way to the spaceport. I assume Tempest
Actually,
is
the
arriving
track
as
that
we
I'm using
speak.
here, this is like the
About
only.
damn time.
I
You're
couldn't really
surprised,
figure out
Kai?
what music to
It's been
use,
9 weeks. I knew
and
it was
this is
coming
the
soon.
only piece
You
of
know how
Halo
Delta
5
feels about
music
us.
that's in this
But Sam
entire
must be getting desperate if they're recalling
episode.
us now.
Although I fail
couldn't
to
tell if I
understand
don't really
why
hear any
Constable
strings.
Lexon exhibits so much
It's
misconduct.
It's so light.
It's
It
becoming
removes
painfully
the
obvious that the
noise, but it
Imperial
doesn't
Vanguard is falling
drown
apart.
anything out.
Yeah.
We need Tempest on the front lines now more than ever.
Well, we better not
I just
keep
realized
our
that, like,
Imperial Lord waiting.
Come along
two,
then.
two
walk
of
you
the
to your
lines from the
transport.
trailer I cut were just from this scene.
So, what do you think about all this? Happy to get off this human-infested world?
Zion's a
I'm
racist.
right behind you. Zion still hasn't
with
relieved
that
his
slowdown.
hatred for humans. Damn the Primus superiority. It's the only thing that's affecting his ego. But finally, after 9 agonizing weeks, we can return home. I just hope her idea
I
of
really
leaving
like
us here
that
was
little
worthwhile.
dialogue.
There's a lot that goes on in that dialogue. And the second scene that I did, and quite possibly my favorite one. Simply because
Yeah,
of the
this-
music and the immersion.
No, just like this scene is incredibly well done.
This was the one that you showcased publicly for the first time.
Right, it was.
You did this back on your personal channel.
Yeah. I did this scene in August 2015. 2 years before it was released.
I know we're quiet, but we just really like this scene.
So, Io right here is 7'8" in the lore. He is, an abnormally tall Primus, as they normally average about 6'9" for males, 7 foot for female.
Do that.
I'm over here, Claire.
Aha!
I
There
remember
you are.
not too
You
long
do
after
realize
Primus
that
came
I've been
out, we were
following
talking
you this
about
whole time, right?
you know,
I
what
always knew.
what books 2, 3, and I think 4 would have been. And we were specifically talking about Claire
Wore off again.
and what was
No, not
going on with
again.
her and Io.
You just used a dose 2 hours ago.
So we'll
I thought
see
Primus
that Claire's a
technology
bit of a
could fix
sneaky
this kind of
snack
thing.
later on.
Claire, I've told you many times.
But whereas Major Brooks,
medical facilities
Professor Burns, and Sovereign Centurion Arum are concerned, they never return, or I never plan on having any of them return. But Claire was going to be one of the supporting characters.
I'm not in any serious danger.
Yeah, she's kind of like
Crouch down.
she's basically
Let me give you
Io's
another dose.
little sister.
You
sorts.
just had to get shot in the
so
throat, didn't you?
I actually
Or
ended
daughter.
up changing it up a bit in
I can't really
the
decide
lore. Io
where
pretty much adopted her.
Can I?
Whatever.
Instead of being surrogate,
There.
well, instead of being
You should
stepbrother,
be good for another few hours.
he's kind of her surrogate
You
father.
do realize I'm not going to stop until I find a solution,
Claire
right?
is
I've been
18 years old when she was
experimenting,
adopted, because she's a
told you
human,
to stay
whereas
away
Io
from
is about
Rob.
I think I
147.
learned that lesson after the hair incident.
Claire,
Solar, what was the
I just got
original
word from
version
the
of this
commander.
character?
We're being redeployed to Orchid.
What do you mean?
Oh.
It's been 9 weeks.
Remember
We
the
knew
Russian?
I wasn't going to be around forever.
Oh, you mean the original version of Echo 4?
Yes.
So the original version of him, which I did still
Maybe I
keep
could
in the
come with
lore,
you.
is that
She
he
of all
was
people should know
shot
that
on the
human
throat,
civilians
so
should
he
never be
had a
allowed
very
to have an affair
grizzled,
within Primus operations.
it's hard
Claire,
for me to talk
you
kind of
know
voice.
that's not
But that was
possible.
only because
do
my friend who
understand
was
that we're
voicing
in
him
the
in
middle
Legacy
of
of
a
Echo
war.
had a very high-pitched
You're
voice, and
my
I had to
little
figure out a way
sister.
to hide
I
it.
don't want you to have to experience that. Plus, you have
But I decided to
seen
keep it in
exile
because
before.
Zach,
I have.
the current voice actor, did a
It
fantastic
may have been
job.
twitching a little during the autopsy.
Oh yeah, he's a fantastic voice actor.
Exiles are huge and they show no mercy. I don't want you to have to deal with that.
So how old
You're
is
too
Io?
young.
147.
Plus, the clan would have
And
my
how
head
long
if I let you
is
get
the
into
average
any
Primus
trouble.
lifespan? 200.
Primus lifespans are about 400 years old.
Can I at least see you off at the spaceport?
Okay, so it's not that
Okay.
he's
Nothing
age,
wrong
it's just that
with that.
he's seen
Then
a
let's go.
lot of hardship.
He has seen a lot, yeah.
If I'm right, Kai and Zion
So,
will probably
in
be
the
looking
lore,
for me.
Io is from the
I
Nostra
suppose it
clan,
would be
and
nice
the
to see
Nostras actually
For a
banned
while,
all
at
of their
least.
clan members
It'll be
from
even
joining
better
the
once all
military.
5 of us
Io
have
was
boots on
like,
the ground.
bitch, I'm 7'8",
Now,
I'm
it's just a
made of
matter of
muscle,
time.
I'm joining the military. And, well, a lot of other stuff ensued because of that. I still have to write a lot of that. Oh, Easter egg time.
Your attention, please. This is the final boarding call for BK Airways Flight 204 to Olympus, Mars.
We're still here.
In security news, could Chris Cassaday please stop streaking through the terminal? Thanks.
That was something
What's going on?
that
You said the
was, we
Primus would
did
be
not
here 20
realize
minutes
would have been
ago.
added in.
Don't.
I had...
Captain.
Oh, God, that was so
arrived here at
great.
the command
Sarah
3
was
hours ago.
cheeky with that.
He insisted we got here early.
Ugh.
What a hypocrite.
I'm getting tired of the excuses, Josh. I have deadlines to meet. Admiral Knight specifically
So,
stated to be back in the fight
the actress who
within 8
plays
days.
Captain
That
Levant
was 6
Kudra,
days ago.
she is...
Sharon, it'll
She
work out.
and
Mark will
Ciro, the actor
You
for Echo
clearly have
2,
not met
are
Admiral
the
Knight.
only
He's gonna
2
shove a ton of
remaining
paperwork
actors
down
from
my
Legacy of
throat just
Echo
for not being
cast.
here early enough for
Kudra was on the
maintenance.
cast for 5 years before
What's that
series
sound?
ended.
Ah, they're finally here. Listen, Captain. These troops are much different than normal Primus.
This was,
How different can they be?
I believe, from this point on,
Oh
the rest of the scenes
my
were all done
God.
within the last month and a half of it being released. Everything else is what took the longest amount of time. All the color
This-
grading.
This shot right here was like I absolutely love
Greetings.
that
I
simply
am
because
Tempest,
it had
Imperial
been
Centurion
so
of the Vanguard.
long since I had seen
However, the humans prefer
all
to call me Echo
5
One,
members of
leader
Echo
Team
together.
Echo. It's a pleasure.
Speaking
I've
of getting
seen
scenes
Primus
done,
troops
PT,
before, but they've never been that
remember when
I-
you took
I'm
it upon
Captain
yourself
Sharon Levant
to
of the
body
81
act
Star
all of
Gazer.
scene 1?
I've been tasked with the retrieval
Yes.
of the reinforcements to transport to the front lines. of planet
Tell this
origin.
story.
Did you say Levant?
I'm
Went through
sorry,
all of
do you
scene
have a
1,
problem
but
with
there
that?
were some
Your father
issues.
was
A
General James
big
Levant,
white
correct?
highlighted circle in the background of those
Uh,
shots.
Yes.
There were some
Did you
other
know him?
issues, like
Met him almost
some errors
30
in
years ago.
communication between me and Solar on what
You
he
were just
wanted.
a child when I saw you
And
last.
so
I speak for all of us
and
when
so
I
it
say
was
how honored
scrapped.
we are to
And
meet
so
you.
he went ahead and did it again on his
Your
own.
father was a courageous warrior.
I would have loved
He most certainly rests with the ancients now.
to include all that, but
I don't know what to say.
couldn't.
I barely
think
remember these
that
people.
original shot I
If
talked
they
about
knew my
before,
father that well.
the shot of the
I appreciate your
continuous
kind words, but we have
following
more
shot
important matters at hand.
all throughout
Your
like the beginning of
capital is in
scene
a
1,
dire state.
that took
The only info I
2.5
have is that you and your
hours
team
to
will
get
be able to
right.
provide reinforcements.
And when that didn't transfer over, I was not happy. But
That's
I
very
mean,
good to
that's
hear.
production.
Head
That's
on
how that
to our
works.
dropship. The faster we
Alright,
move, the
so-
better.
I know.
Yeah.
Alright, so like
Brooks,
the way
thank
that
you
you
for
just
watching over them.
explained
I believe I can say you are
explained it
officially
now because it's been a
relieved of
while
duty.
since I heard that story. That makes a lot more
They're a handful,
sense
Captain.
and is much more
Keep
understandable than
your
the
guard
first
up.
time you told me that story.
Anyway, so Claire right here, as we would have found out in the
Oh,
following
I didn't know
episode.
that was Claire.
Yeah, that's Claire.
The color grading kind of.
Well, she is stowing away on the ship and not wanting to leave her brother behind.
But yeah, the first time PT you told me that story, it was I went and I body acted all of scene 1, and I took my time to do it, and I was so meticulous. Granted, you weren't whiny about it, not this whiny about. Well, not, you weren't like this about it.
Yeah.
You were upset though. It was
I'm
like,
afraid
oh,
you'll
I
have
did
to
all this
excuse
work,
me.
and
I
then
still have to
Sarah was
finalize
like,
your transfer
nah, I'll
over
do
my
it myself.
Feel free to wander the ship and.
That-
get
I'm
the
sorry!
best. Just
That's how I
don't
remember
be
it.
surprised if anyone collapses
Anyway.
or runs away screaming. When I said Primus were coming aboard, I didn't expect you to be so.
Now from here on, this was added
Oh.
last minute, right?
We'll talk. in a
I
minute.
had the
There's
cast
a gym by the
do
armory if you need to
last
blow
minute
off
line
some
revisions
steam.
because I was not happy with how I had written it.
You've all been silent these past few months.
So it added like this
Have
whole
none
dialogue
of you
between
heard from the
everyone here,
council?
right?
Yes,
Counselor Lexan
basically.
completely cut off contact.
But now,
I've
like,
heard
they're
nothing.
What about the sovereigns?
Nothing.
really talking about their
Not
military
even from
involvement.
Vernum?
And they have no idea that Sovereign Centurion Vernum, Echo 1 second in command, is dead.
Arum's the only sovereign Kai and I have spoken to in the last 2 months. Haven't heard from
No one's
Vernum
able to
since
break the
Orchid
fourth
was
wall in
invaded.
this one. Not
That's
yet.
not like her. That's not like her
Not
at
when
all.
there are 5 walls.
Zion, did Arum say anything
It's a lot
about
of
our
fucking
deployment here?
walls.
Why would the council be foolish enough to keep me so far from the front lines?
I haven't heard anything from anyone in the Vanguard or otherwise.
Have you heard from the other Imperials? Sarael or Venturis, perhaps?
Thuriel
wouldn't
is
be asking
the
these questions
basically
about
admiral of admirals.
Raw, what's our
I really
ETA
want
to
to
Orcat?
include her in this,
According
but
to
nope.
the star maps, it'll take us about 4 days to return to Orchid with this ship. Are our fleets so scattered that they can't even send a single transport vessel to us? We'll be there in less than a day.
Can't blame the humans for inferior tech.
All that matters is that humanity still cooperates with us.
What does it mean by inferior tech?
Even though it was our
Inferior
fault they were
technology.
caught in this
Primus
war.
have always
I'm honestly
tried,
annoyed how none
tried
of you
to
have
stay
chosen
above.
to focus on the one
Even though the
thing
Primus
that really
shared
matters.
technology with humanity,
I
they
haven't
always
spoken
tried to
Surrey
stay a
in
step
nearly
above
a
them.
year. What if something happened to her?
No.
I
If something
would
happened to her,
imagine.
we would have been the first to know about it.
Especially
She's
with
perfectly safe.
keeping the War of the Exiles
Look,
secret for 200
Raw
years.
said we
They
have
didn't
4
want
days.
humanity to see,
Let's
oh
not
hey, they're
dwell on
weak,
the
let's go
future.
attack them.
All of you get yourselves ready. As soon as we land on Orcat, we're
Right.
heading straight to the front.
Alright then. If you need me, I'll be in the gym, making sure the humans are in check.
Don't do anything rash, Zion.
Yeah.
Zion's a racist.
Alright, everyone. You're dismissed. Don't get into too much trouble.
I like the sound effects of Io's gear just sort of
Different.
shaking around.
That was Sarah. That was all her.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
it was her. It's just,
When
she's
your mind is
incredibly thorough
clouded,
about it.
You should meditate.
Then again, I'm
Give
kind of,
yourself time to think.
I'm
Not
at,
exactly
I'm at a
sure
point where I'm
what to
kind
think
of
right now, Kai.
more or less in that same position.
All I know is
So
we're
Kai,
going home.
With something else.
With Kai, what no one will be ever able to deduce just from the machinima is she is actually the Primus Empress's sister, and her mother was the original, or was the Grand Empress Sinye from the prologue, which
Have
is
a good
no
night,
longer
Captain.
secret.
Don't let those Primus dossiers
Oh, Solar,
overwhelm
you
you.
voiced 2 characters?
Yeah.
Was
that
that you?
That one sounded really echoey, because I did not do that at all.
Whoa.
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 Engaged exile
Wow.
forces on the
So,
Primus colony still alive.
Do you remember where this
No enemy
where
survivors.
this bit came
wow.
from?
This was
also
Legacy of
Battle
Echo,
report, battle
the extra
report,
Levant's
MIA
report.
list, pre-invasion requisites. What the hell?
yeah.
There's
where this
nothing
came
on
from.
their files. It's all classified.
Yes, you're right, Captain. So, what do you want to know?
All right. Content-wise, do we have anything else that we want to say before we move on to Q&A?
I mean, I could go off for hours on everything, so I'm gonna hold my tongue.
I mean,
Okay.
like, just you know, anything else, like any little fun little trivia in regards to the production, some neat little tricks that you pulled.
Well, we can still talk about that. I think we can talk about that during the Q&A as well.
Yeah.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, you know, we've got like 2.5 minutes of credits.
Oh, well, actually, I was very thorough with the credits, so I believe... So I really should have looked back at the facts, but I think I had 28 individual voiced characters, as well as at least 9 actresses, which is pretty unprecedented in a lot of Halo Machinima. It just,
How many auditions did you get for Primus?
I got close to 300 auditions over a year and a half. Whew. And I think this is about 68 body actors that helped me put it all together. Like, way too much. The amount of reshoots I did was absolutely ridiculous. And actually, the majority...
There were whole scenes that were created and gotten rid of.
And scrapped, yeah. Actually, everything...
Yeah, that's normal.
Basically, the last 20 minutes was all done offline because all the online shots I just couldn't use. Or were just like, ugh, bad.
What? Like, were they laggy? Were they poorly coordinated?
Laggy, poorly coordinated, people jumping around, i.e. Grumpy Elite, I mean...
Oh, that's right, I
don't know.
suggested a track from the Jak 3 soundtrack.
And I used it.
There's a whole lot of Martin O'Donnell there.
Yeah. I used a lot of ODST for the dialogue parts.
Well, that's the best one to be using, to be honest.
Exactly. I'm ham on these credits.
Celtic.
Well, I mean, Primus is a very fantasy-oriented theme, kind of.
Science fiction rooted in fantasy.
Yeah, that's it.
And the hundreds of voice actors who tried out for the roles.
Oh, Bishpo, you had auditioned? Or were going to audition?
There's only one position left, and it was for...
Here's to a great series! Cancelled 8 months later.
Oh, that's
sad.
Funny aneurysm moment, or harsher in hindsight.
Oh, alright, so we're moving over to the ant.
Moving
Aha. A little excited
over to our Q&A graphic.
Q&A. Alright.
Alright.
Quina.
There we go. We got the graphic going. So now we're gonna start with Q&A. We're gonna do this for about 15 or 20 minutes, or just until questions stop coming in and we have no more to talk about. And then after that, we'll take a 15-minute break and we'll move on to Endgame. If you want to know what Endgame is, Endgame is based off a true story of Halo 2 when it went offline. There was around 12 players who said, "Hey, I don't need my Xbox anymore. We'll just leave it on." And so they left their consoles on and just played all the way through, and one by one, red rings happened, or disconnections, power outages, and they slowly kind of dropped from the online service.
But before that, there was a question that was asked when we were doing ARC files. Unfortunately, I did not get down the username, and the chat doesn't go back far enough. I apologize. So if you're still here, if you ask the question, speak up, please. The question basically was, would you be willing to give advice for Siege Rising? Would you be willing to give advice for creating a machinima? I've been developing a Halo machinima for about 8 years, and I've always been trying to make it a major project. It's incredibly unique and has been a personal project of mine. So first off, that's major dedication if you're working on the one project in development or pre-production for 8 years. Like, that is dedication. Good on you. But as far as us specifically giving advice, none of us claim to be like masters at the craft of machinima.
I don't think there's anyone that is a master of the craft of it. Ultimately, I think The biggest thing is find something you're genuinely passionate about. If you keep struggling to push yourself on it and get to work, then it might not be the project for you.
So actually, to add on to that, like Primus took me 3 years to make, and I mean, really, what was there shouldn't have taken me that long. I procrastinated so much on it simply because it's just not my vision for it isn't a machinima, so I really had to force myself to get it out, and that in the end actually did detract from quality here and there, because for the most part Primus is a book, it's a novel, and actually as soon as I canceled the machinima, I was able the ideas that I've had for the lore and the story have just skyrocketed, because now I'm not thinking in terms of, oh, how do I make this into a machinima? It just doesn't work. It doesn't transfer over. So,
Siege, you're saying that you've never had the technology of the same recording and the most dedicated body actors and voice actors to work. So, first off, what game are you trying to use? Are you trying to use like Halo Reach, Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo 5? Like, are you using console game? Or are you using a PC game?
Well, here's the thing for both of them, right? So if it doesn't matter which Halo game that you're going for, let's say that you want to do Halo 5. Well, Halo 5 has Forge and has custom games on PC, so technically you can get around with that. And then also on Xbox, there's the game clip feature. So I've seen a couple people do it, where they'll actually do the shot and then go into and they'll game clip it, and they'll take all that stuff, because you can download it from an online website that Microsoft's created.
And Microsoft earlier this year, they updated game capture so that you don't just have to do like the 30-second flashback at like a lower bit rate at only 720p. You can do like a higher bit rate 1080p manual recording with the Xbox One built-in feature. Halo Reach was the original idea, but I felt like I had more opportunity 5 and the new system with it.
Well, then absolutely with Halo 5, because you can do PC, or you can, if you have an Xbox One, you can do the game capture feature. I think right now, more than any other time, it is the easiest to do machinima, just because of the tools we have available.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like before, you'd have to have Fraps if you wanted to do screen capture for like PC particularly, and like it wouldn't work half the time. It was super finicky.
It was totally uncompressed.
Technically, you had to pay for it, and now, like, even what we're using to stream here, OBS, it's completely free. It works better. It's so great. I would love to jump back to an earlier question before we continue real quick, just so that it doesn't pop off the questions list. Nesta was asking what our future plans, plans are, and where do I try out?
Tune in, and you'll find out later.
Yeah, we have something for SNAPT that we're getting ready to show off here in about an hour and a half here. But as for Primus, I mean, I don't think you can voice a book anymore. So,
well, actually, Chris Price, the actor for Echo 3, back in the very early stages of Primus, I sent him a very, very early draft of the first chapter. And he actually went in, and for a Christmas present for me, he did an entire audiobook for me.
Oh, speaking of which, behind you.
Oh.
Something that PT put together.
I'm not sure well you can see. There's a lot of glare on the screen because of my computer monitors, but PT actually made me a physical Primus Legacy poster and shipped it to me for my birthday.
It was like set up in the same way that the Star Wars Episode 4 poster was. So it was, like Luke center frame.
Here, I'll bring it up on OBS.
Like Darth Vader and like TIE fighters and X-Wings all on the right side.
The original 1977 theatrical poster for Star Wars.
Yeah, I pretty much just took that as a reference, and then I kind of copied it with Primus. I thought it would look cool. So yeah.
But back to you, Siege. Looking for machinima channels. They'd be interested, but they were always afraid of the commitment. Ultimately, if you want to get it done, you got to do it yourself. And I'm not trying to say that to be mean. I'm saying that because it's true. If you want it done, if you want this project done, if you want any project done, something you've been working on for so long, and no one seems to be willing to go the distance, you got to do it yourself. As far as body actors and such go, you have to understand that they're volunteering to help you. And that's not to say, oh, it's okay that they flake or anything. It's you have to be understanding of other people's situations, and that they are that they have their own lives. And in the case of voice actors, if they're volunteering their time,
I think the easiest way to get someone on board with your project is literally the way that that Primus was kind of done. Get it started, promote it, show people, get other people involved in it,
hype it up.
Yeah, like not involved in like, hey, you want to be a part of it and help me make it? Like, just be like, look at this, I'm putting this out. This is so cool. Can you tell me, like, does this look cool, or is there something you would have changed? Get the ball rolling on your own, because people are more willing to jump in on something that is already started than something that is just in a concept. I mean, with Primus, Solar was halfway through, and me and Naetle were always there, kind of like giving feedback or whatever. But then when we had the idea of SNAPT, where we all just worked together to produce our content, we were like, hey, Solar, let's work on SNAPT. And so we jumped on board for SNAPT, and granted, it was halfway through, so a huge bulk of the work was Solar here. But even then, I mean, just having the extra hands, I'm sure, was able to alleviate some of the pressure there with a couple things. And I hope that answers your question. Let's move on to Bishpo's question.
I just want to add on to that really quick.
Oh, absolutely.
So what I've noticed, I mean, I spent a lot of time in the machinima community, especially when working on Primus, and I have seen a lot of people trying to, like, they have great ideas and they're trying to see if other people want to do them. Unfortunately, I don't think I've ever seen any other director take someone else's ideas to work on. It's just not something that is done. So really, my personal advice is, like, remember, Primus is a book. First and foremost, it is a novel. So I personally say find a medium where you can work in it yourself and continue to expand it on your own. But basically, what PT was saying.
And to tack on one last point for you, Siege, you say it's not Tolkien detailed, but you put a lot of time in it, and despite years of little real progress, you're not giving up. Good. Again, like, I admire that dedication. I don't even know what your idea is, and I admire your dedication to it. If you show people that you're passionate about it, then people will come and they will be interested. People say that all the time, and it sounds like bullshit. It's not bullshit. Like, try and, like, distill down to something from this project, like one scene. Try and find something you can do entirely on your own as a proof of concept, and go from there.
Yep. All right, so we're gonna move on. So Bishpo is asking, what should you enjoy making the most, Primus or Endgame? Well, so I completely directed, wrote, edited Primus with help of these two bastards over here. PT did all of Endgame with support from us.
So when we made SNAPT, the big goal was to have extra hands on all the projects that we were passionate about. We were all collectively passionate about it, but it was always one person that had the idea and that had the absolute end word on it, and was, I mean, leading the whole thing. Primus was Solar's horse. We were just kind of riding there and whipping it with him.
And I am beating it now.
And then Endgame, when we got to that, I mean that was mine. But I mean, when Endgame started, that was at the very beginning, and we were able to all just jump on the horse together. Versus me and Naetle having to jump on while it's already going.
A good metaphor I can see for it is Endgame. We saw PT writing the blueprints for it, so we saw every single step. Meanwhile, it's like they came into Primus when the structure was already up. It's like the house is already being built. I mean, we're basically furnishing it at this point.
And then, like, even though that's happening, me and Naetle are looking at the support beams like, I don't know if this works, but we can't do anything now.
I have a better metaphor. With Endgame, we got the train at the station. With Primus, we're running trying to catch up and jump into an empty freighter car.
All right. I hope that answers your question, Bishpo. The next we have is from Nesta.
Actually,
What do we
his
have?
question specifically, like, which did you enjoy making more? Let me weigh in briefly. Personally, I had more attachment to Endgame personally.
Of course.
Pretty much for the same reasons. But also, you know, I was just really jazzed about the idea. But we'll talk more about that when we get to the Endgame Q&A.
And I think it's obvious which ones that me and Solar worked on. The ones that had our names tied to it more were obviously which ones that we both had more fun working on. So the question from Nesta, coming from a computer coding and computer standpoint, what would you say the most troubling in the process? Most trouble, like in the process of I'm assuming, I guess, making a machinima like
the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like the language, the writing. Like what was the hardest part for you, Solar?
The language was fun. I think the hardest part, I mean, aside from motivation-wise to actually get off my ass and do it, probably the filming aspect. I don't have as big of a film background as these two do. I'm more writing set. So these guys know how to set up shots, how to do all that composition. I really don't. So I had to adjust to like the 180 rule, the rule of thirds, and I'm like I just want to make it look pretty. I'm just hitting the record button, seeing what happens. But I think another big part was the editing process. I used a lot of Adobe After Effects, and that used a lot of my time just to figure out how to make it work. Like with the picture that's popping up on screen right now. But yeah.
I guess it was just the knowledge learning stuff. I think that answers that question, right? And then the next one is from Fourth Player Films regarding showing stuff off. It's a two-part question. How do you mean? Like post clips to Reddit or something like that? Like what avenues do you use to get the word out? We used multiple. We definitely used Reddit. We used Discord. There was word of mouth. I mean, I think a lot of the word of mouth pretty much came from
friends.
Well, not even just that. It was when we were doing body acting. Someone was like, "Oh, what's this for?" And Solar was absolutely amazing at pitching it every single time. And so they're like, "Oh man, I'm gonna go subscribe and go check it out."
Yeah, actually, there was when we were at RTX last year. This was just before Primus came out. This was like a month before Primus came out.
Yep. Not even like
2 weeks.
No, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before.
Yeah, because RTX was in August last year. Like we our last night there, we went up to the pool at one of the hotels that a bunch of my friends from RT Florida were staying at, and Solar was telling them about Primus, and they were really jazzed up about it. The more he talked about it, the more interested they got. So if you show enthusiasm, you know, other people will show enthusiasm. It's infectious.
So a big thing, especially because like when I was doing Primus, Reach was still pretty decently big. So I had a bunch of friends who were always in custom game lobbies, and I was in like even when I wasn't body acting or anything like that, I'd be jumping into those games, and there'd be other machinima directors, and we'd start talking about our entire stuff, even in lobbies of like 12, 14, 16 people. The entire lobby would just kind of shut up and just let us talk. And that word of mouth really did help spread a lot. But again, like I've been around the machinima community, especially with like I've seen a lot of changes in the community over the past couple of years. And I mean, these two I've seen it as well. We started with a site called Machinima Nation, which unfortunately shut down a couple of years ago. Then there was Machinima Union, the rise and fall of that, and all the shitstorm that happened.
There was a whole lot of different.
A lot of stuff that happened.
A lot of places have come and gone.
But now with the hub is like kind of like the biggest one now, I believe. And there was
the most
other
active
one? There was another one. I can't remember the name.
It was a Creators Network. I believe,
Creators Network. That was it.
I think that shut down. I don't know. I haven't been there.
I have no idea either.
That one.
But yeah, it's really just like. Oh god.
That's still around. just I haven't seen a new post on that website, I think, since February of 2016. It's bad. I don't know why they keep paying for it.
Ugh, but yeah, it's really just getting the word out as much as you can, and like not even like these big explosive promotions like, oh, check this out, just like, hey,
my ARG. Like, no, you don't need
hey,
to
do you wanna hear about my super cool book?
Yeah, like going to going to school for for film, you learn something called an elevator pitch, where basically you try and distill your idea for a short film, a TV show, a movie, anything, down to the amount of time it would take to have a conversation during an elevator ride. So like 15 to 30 seconds down, like it's like 2 sentences. It's also known as a log line. If you can get it down to its most basic core elements when you're talking to someone and have that hook there, then things will follow.
Yeah. The biggest thing I think to really hit people with is be personal. Don't make it seem professional. And then oh, Curtis Network is still up? Oh, that's great, Grumpy. Be professional and be personal. No, those two go opposite. I'm sorry. I got sounds like that. Be personal.
Courteous.
Be
like don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Passionate. That was the other P word I was thinking.
The one commandment. Don't be a dick.
Passionate and personal. Like, get into it. Have other people synthesize with the idea. Yeah, be personal. Be passionate about it. Have people know that your heart's really into it. I think that sells an idea more than anything. If someone can see that someone is wholeheartedly into it, then absolutely.
And Esther just posted, during the process, how would you say your knowledge about machinima and making a short film in general grew? God. I learned more about making machinima just making Primus than in any other machinima I made combined. Legacy of Echo, my predecessor series, I released 3 episodes for. Then I did 2 comedic shorts, which actually did pretty well. Wait, no, I did 3. I did 3. Yeah, whatever. Forgot about that one. But the amount of stuff I learned just from the community and from experimentation, that's the big thing. You gotta experiment. Because if you don't, if you go into it blind and you don't know what you're doing, it's most likely gonna fail.
Yeah, like let's be real. Your first short film or your first machinima is probably going to be terrible
unless you have extreme support. Yeah,
but even with that, try to make it the best you can. Because if you just go into it like, yeah, it's gonna be bad, I'm just trying to knock the first one out, then the next one's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
just do the best you can to make it as great as possible.
Yeah, do the best you can. It's probably not going to turn out great if you've never done anything like that before, but don't let that get you down. Every time you do it, you get a little better at it, but you got to keep doing it and listen to criticism. Not people that say, "Oh, this sucks. Oh, this is terrible." People listen to when people have like something constructive to say. Like like the audio doesn't sound very good, or I was confused about who was who. Like if people are commenting on specific things and listing like actual like things that they had trouble with, keep that in mind the next time you do something and try and work on it.
Something I realized is no matter what criticism you get, no matter if it's constructive or destructive, utilize it to the best of your ability. What I really learned throughout a lot of my writing workshops, and especially with what I've learned from comments on the machinima. What are you
guys hear that?
Oh, what?
I heard that. There was something that came through your mic, and it just sounded like a walrus screeching for a second.
What?
It's like, oh, like and me and Naetle just looked at each other like, you heard that too, right?
And I'm just like, what happened? Anyway, learning how to use criticism to the best of your ability. Like if someone's saying like, oh, you should look at this, focus on this, and yada yada yada. Take that into account. Dissect it. Figure out what to do with it. Even with negative, saying, "Oh, this sucks. Fuck you." What can you do with that? Not really anything, but maybe there is some light in that. Never know.
Yeah.
Like
I had assholes like that when I started off. It's just they don't help.
But I mean, even like I'm gonna keep going back to writing because of this. What it is. With Primus, I learned not to cram a novel and 2 acts into a 45-minute episode because it's just cramming way too much into way too little. I've learned to really space out my stuff and use current action. Don't be passive with the characters and the information that you're conveying. So.
Engage the audience.
Yeah, that.
All right.
Siege is asking if we have a Discord server. We don't. Technically,
we technically do not. We're just kind of around the Machinima community. So if you're over in the hub, you can reach us through there.
Yeah, we're there from we keep tabs on the hub. We're there from time to time.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, it seems like you're really wanting partners for your Machinima project. So I think that'd be a great place to go. Get some feedback on your stuff. Biggest piece of advice I can give you. You're gonna get feedback, whether it's good or bad. Take it with a grain of salt. If it's right, it's right. If it's not, don't fight it. Just say, "Oh yeah, thank you. I appreciate the feedback," and then just behind their back say, "Oh yeah, this isn't right." I mean, just learn how to take criticism.
For me, I find that if once I get criticism, don't immediately just dive into it and think about what you can change. Give it a couple days, stew on it, and then go back to it and think fresh eyes. Good work.
And also try to dissociate yourself from your work that's being criticized when addressing that criticism internally.
Yeah.
If you dissociate yourself from the work, then it's much easier.
You're insulting me and my passion, then people aren't going to.
You were just spewing verbal manure all over my patio.
All right. So the Primus Legacy was a long process to make. Arc Files was. I mean, it's still Solar's passion, just in a writing format now, and not in the Machinima.
Prose.
Yeah. And so.
And
I think that this is the end of our Q&A segment, at least for the Primus Legacy.
Unless anyone has any.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I mean, unless anyone has any other further questions they want to ask. And I do want to say, if any of you are interested in learning more about Primus, just wanting to, learn more lore or just even read parts of the book, let me know. Come to just leave comments on Machinima itself, or reach out to us in the hub. I am more than willing to share whatever you want to know because I need a lot of beta readers for whenever it comes out. So yeah.
All right. So we're gonna take a 15-minute break here, and when we come back, we're gonna start with Endgame. We're gonna do a commentary over that, and then we're gonna do a Q&A segment for that, and then we'll get on to our announcement for our third and maybe longest project we have for SNAPT. All right.
All right.
We'll be right back.
We'll see you all soon. Ta-ta.
We're never alone. We're never alone in the dead air. Always at home, never elsewhere. We're never alone, we're never alone. No matter where we roam, never alone, never alone. No matter where we go. Always Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. We played our game. Always look for better options. Taking people like human auction. Look for better, settle for second rate. You don't want this anyway. I hate the game, still I'll play. Here's my number, hit the envelope all the time. If you want it, you can have it. Drop me like a dirty habit. You don't even have to tell me why. I must be out of my mind. You keep wasting my time chasing people who won't even give me the time of day. You show no interest until you're pushed away. I acted like it didn't bother me to see you leave without a trace. And as we sat there in the high-low, I thought let's end this on a low note. So little time, look how I spend it, feeling bored and discontented. Started walking over past the colored light. The forecast I know me to bleed, and he's gonna get to if it bleed and see you maybe in another life. I'm not trying to be mistaken, I'm just giving the real thing. hate bullshit. Spin your drive, messed out like a misfit. I think you've overstayed your welcome. You had the nerve to bite the hand. You've become complacent in your crawl space. When are you coming back to land? Say anything, but you
And are we
Welcome
live?
back.
Oh, we're live again?
There we are live again.
Hey!
I told you
here
to get
we
naked.
go.
I mean,
Didn't you tell him last time don't get naked?
I mean now I'm changing my mind.
Okay. Now I
It
need
hap-
it.
it happens. Okay, so we know that there are problems with the stream. We're trying to figure those out.
So
I
YouTube's
don't
really
know.
fucky. YouTube's really fucky.
yeah, YouTube is a whole different live streaming beast than we've had with Twitch, and we've worked with Twitch a lot in the past. So yeah,
Yeah,
My
not much
bad.
else to say on that.
I don't
so-
know what to do.
So we're aware of the stuttering, and we apologize. We're trying to figure that out.
I am recording as we are streaming though, and so we will be uploading the individual segments of the stream in lossless quality. Actually get the full-blown commentary.
Yep. So we're gonna move on with Endgame. Endgame is a whopping 50-something minutes. What was it? 54 minutes? I don't even
54.
remember. 50. All right, borderline 54 minutes. So that it's 54 minutes. We're gonna go through the announcement teaser before that. Then we'll do a 20-minute Q&A, just kind of like what we did with Primus. And then after that, then we'll announce our next big project for SNAPT, headed by Naetle over here on the far left.
I've been in crunch for it like all day.
Oh,
Yeah,
weekends.
he has. And you can see
All
that
week.
with like the shaggy hippie hair, the beard. You can see that with everything.
Yeah, that's a one-day shave.
I grew this in 12 hours.
Yes.
I fucking wish.
He hasn't showered in a whole 12 hours. Right, don't show your armpit. Jeez. All right. And then when we start the commentary, we're gonna re-announce, re-talk about hi, I'm PT Solar, because we're gonna be uploading this within like the next week or so, at least one of the two. So this will also be for content. If you missed the Primus part, we are answering questions throughout the stream, and then we'll be answering questions in a Q&A at the very end of the stream. If you don't know what Endgame is about the last match of Halo 2 online. There were a group of players that found out that apparently if you were still connected online when they were shutting off the original Xbox servers, that you didn't get kicked. Instead, Microsoft was like, oh no, whenever you disconnect, then you just can't come back online. So a bunch of players were like, well, I'm just going to leave my Xbox on, and if it red rings or overheats or whatever, I mean, I'm not going to play anything else on it. And so that's what happened. And after 2 weeks, there's a group of 12 players left. They got the nickname the Noble 12, and it's their story for the next 2 weeks. Progressively, that number shrank and shrank and shrank until there was no one left. And so that's what Endgame is about. That is technically a true story, but I took that. I didn't involve the real characters. I changed everything. I turned it into something a little more dramatic, a little more unique, I would say. So that's what Endgame is about, and that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the original teaser, and we're going to move on to the final product here. So,
get your 3D glasses ready, children.
Yeah, it's in 3D. This is a 3D stream. Go ahead and put your glasses on now. If you have VR, it's also VR compatible.
Yeah, like getting circle vision done for Endgame was a bitch. As if Master Chief Collection didn't have enough problems at the time.
Oh my gosh. All right, so are we? Which one are we starting with?
we're starting with the teaser. We're not going to bother with the trailer. We're just going to do the teaser and the final product.
All right.
All right, I have to go find that. There it is.
It's about it's about fucking buttholes. That's what it's about, Nesta. That's what the game's
bushes.
really about.
It's bushes, actually.
Bush's baked beans?
It's about fucking bushes. Oh jeez. All right. Are we ready on the graphic front, Solar?
And just one. All right. We are good to go.
Okay. Start the teaser in 3, 2, 1, go. Hey guys, this is the SNAPT crew, PT Platinum. We've got Solar and Naetle 07 here, and we're doing the Endgame director's commentary. So before we get too much into introductions, this teaser, this was made exactly 1 year before the actual product came out, before the actual movie.
And it was totally intentional.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100% intentional. With this, the idea from this came from, I was researching so much into the idea that was Endgame. And I just found
15th,
so many different videos from Halo 2, the introduction, the launch, everything. And so I was like, oh, this would be great to use as a teaser. So a lot of that footage was from the Halo 2 midnight launch, or just from Halo 2 events, Toys R Us, when that was still a thing.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. What was it, Jeffrey the Giraffe?
Geoffrey.
Giraffe. Yeah. So the aspect ratio here was this is the old I don't even remember.
Back in my day, we used 4:3 ratio on channel 3.
Yeah, 4:3.
We didn't have
133/1.
HDMI.
So with that, what I wanted to do, and I thought about this for a while, was doing the actual machinima in that aspect ratio, because that was what was used at the time. Ultimately, I didn't go with that, but yeah.
Oh, we've got so much to talk about in regards to vision for the actual thing.
Oh yeah, we've got a whole lot to talk about for Endgame here.
So much.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh yes.
So, I think we're ready to just get started with the actual product, right?
I am ready. Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go. I really wanted to make sure, because I didn't want... The main character's name is Apache. An Apache Enforcer was actually the last man to play Halo 2.
Apache Naseer.
No, Enforcer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It was
Naetle
N, and then the number 4, and then it was Sir. So I guess you could see it as like troll lining for Naseer. But I didn't want him to look at it like, hold on, I wasn't this much of a whiny bitch. So I really wanted to avoid that. I wanted to put that disclaimer at the beginning.
Okay, so Endgame was my first attempt at using a free post-production program. You can use for editing, but it's mainly used for color. You may have heard of it. It's called DaVinci Resolve. And so 2 days before Endgame was slated to come out, so it was August 15th, 2018, PT and I got on Discord, I shared my screen, and we started correcting colors, doing color correction. But there's so much about that.
I'll get into that, like, when you can really see the differences with it.
It's alright, man.
No, I just want to bring up specifically how much fucking time and how much of a fucking headache the vanilla Halo 2 stuff gave us.
Yeah, absolutely. So scene 1, that was from the very beginning, and it progresses all the way through this. We had tons of different ideas. Scene 1 was consistently redone over and over and over. And one of the ideas that we had was live action. And it was going to be Apache, like, getting home from work, turning on a radio, and getting this line right here. And then it just would have been him like booting on his Xbox, and while doing that, he's just picking up like he's got a one-room apartment. There was beer bottles, pizza boxes. There was just trash everywhere, and the idea was to actually put beginning credits on that, and to play the song, and to play the song "Late to Waste" over that. Instead, what we went with the final version was playing "Never Alone," also by the band Men of Action. Instead, we just chose to play that over this bit here of him going through the maps. So, the menu that came up just a moment ago, the Halo 2 menu, we took that from Halo 2 Vista.
Yeah,
but before we did that, I hooked up my original Xbox and my old Dazzle that I had from when I started doing Machinima, and recorded that. It was shitty quality, but I just loved working with that. It was such a cool moment, getting the practical bit for it.
Yeah, your reasoning was that it was kind of a nostalgic thing, and I kind of pointed out as like, PT, this looks like garbage.
Yeah, I was a little blinded by it.
Yeah, and then it's just like you watched
an example of criticism, children.
And you were trying to read it, and you realized that you couldn't fucking read it.
Yeah, I was like, no, you can't be right. And I looked at it like, what does this say?
No, but.
But yeah, there was a lot of different ideas we had for the beginning, including one of them was going to be Naetle here and another friend of ours, Falcon Baton, reminiscing about Halo 2 in a newscast, but that didn't go quite right either. Which honestly, with the amount of rewrites and redos we did for Scene 1, I am 100% happy with how it turned out. This is the best way that it really could have gone.
Yeah, going back to color on Scene 1's front, we got into DaVinci Resolve, and we were taking our time to do the color. We weren't trying to go crazy with it, but boosting up certain colors so that Halo 2 Vanilla didn't look so dull, because at the beginning it's supposed to be a very happy time. Everyone's together, everyone's having fun, just shooting the shit. It took 2 fucking hours to do those 2 minutes of vanilla Halo 2 footage. And then the rest of and then we got through like the next like 25-30 minutes of the whole thing within like 8 to 10 hours after that.
What the hell, man? It's
So
been years. How
Halo 2 has a very inconsistent lighting engine. Like, it was easier to manipulate in the original Xbox version, apparently. Like, basically, what could happen is, if I remember correctly,
yeah, I've been planning this for weeks. We're gonna play for as long as we could.
Like,
tonight.
you could trick the engine into maintaining bright light when you're in a shadowy area.
Yeah, but that didn't work with MCC's Halo 2, so we just had to find ways around that.
Did you guys hear the server
we'll get back to color correction because there is a lot we can go into it. I'm sure there are other times that we can go into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this scene 2 here, despite this was the easiest on script of just everyone walking together and then meeting and then going and playing a game of Slayer. This was the hardest, probably the hardest for me to put together, because it was never quite right, and there were so many things that weren't that didn't click well as I would have liked. I'm happy with how it ended, but it was definitely the hardest one that I would have had to put together because it was so easy. I guess I just overread into it. I guess.
And there were 6 characters here, so you had to keep everything consistent in regards to camera placement to maintain consistency of space.
Just to make it work.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So here's a funny story about Tyler here. So,
we thought you were dead.
When I put out Endgame, I had some friends come over and we watched it live as we uploaded it.
Yeah.
And one of those friends, so like these were all high school friends, old friends that some that I've seen for a long time. There was one friend that came by, totally didn't expect him to come by. his
right now
name
I'm,
was Tyler.
Working from home part-time.
It was
customer
totally
service,
coincidence
and,
that his name was
I had
Tyler
some extra
compared to
time
this
and read
guy.
online the
And I was like,
servers are
oh
shutting down
man, I
in
haven't
a few
seen you
weeks,
since
so I
high
thought I'd
school. We all
hop on and
joked
say hi to
around.
everybody.
And then we got to this dialogue
The
here.
servers are shutting down
And this whole
tonight.
thing, Tyler, oh
Wait,
man, we
really?
thought you were dead. The exact
Well,
same thing we
I
were
guess I
saying to
chose a good
him.
day then.
So we're all kind of laughing
I'll
about
if you
that.
guys are up.
And then we
That's
get
the
on
plan.
to
Great. So what's up first?
Slayer. Just a moment ago when Tyler said, "Oh, I'm married."
We're starting with one
we all
round
just
of
kind of looked at him.
Slayers
He goes,
and some
"No,
And then maybe
not
some
happened."
infection, depending what the.
Nobody wants to play that.
But yeah, so that was. I think that's a memory I'm gonna have to always associate with this moment with Tyler. Is another Tyler coming in
All right,
and doing the
guys,
exact
let's
same
have
thing.
Some fun.
So,
all right, let's grab the rocket launcher.
moving on
and
to
move back here to defend. Got
the
it.
music here. All the music, like this song, the one that played earlier in the scene, most of the music. Woo! I don't want to think
You
about
had a
that.
lot of problems with keeping the music royalty free.
Got the rockets.
I was, but all of this music,
damn it,
I found from a radio station just in the background.
Chill hop.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it was just
chill
like
hop.
playing, and it was never like, oh, I was looking for music. I would just be editing, and I would stop and be thinking, and I was like, hold
They're
on,
playing defense.
this music really goes with this, and I go and find the name,
This game mode
download
is all
it,
about
contact
map
the
control.
creator, say, hey,
This
can
is
I
the
use
most
this? And they're like,
defendable
oh yeah,
position, so we
absolutely.
just need to hang out here.
It's a much different process when you consider my process for Primus, and it's like I would be writing two very particular songs, and like that would be like the one piece that I'd be
All right,
using
that's
for
game.
like a particular
Thank
scene
God.
or shot.
Let's do some capture the flag.
Yeah.
Whereas yours was more just on the go.
So, these shots, I incorporated some matchmaking shots into it, and no one was really able to notice, but technically, you can see it, because a lot of the stuff is, you see some of the armor sets that are different armors that weren't from original Halo 2, or they were different Elite skins, because that's what Halo 2 Anniversary did. Yeah, and I tried to get like some capture the flag footage, and I think I was able to pull it off well, but capture the flag never showed up on Last Resort.
Yeah.
So-
On that note, in
Oh,
regards to the matchmaking stuff,
Let's go another round. That was great.
I was
3
talking to my
none?
friends about Endgame, and they all
I'd
thought
be up
that
for it, but
the way
we don't have
that this
time.
opening match played
The servers will go
was
off any
very
minute.
odd. It felt
It's
very
already midnight.
artificial, and like they understood that it's really hard to replicate that kind of thing.
actually,
But when the shot with
at
the
midnight,
actual
they stopped
matchmaking
letting
footage came
users
up,
log
like they
on.
instantly knew that
If you're
was
already
real, and it was
online,
really
you won't be
jarring for
kicked.
them.
Really?
But they
Yeah,
understood.
after the servers go off, I don't think I'll have any
Okay.
use for my Xbox anymore.
I didn't know that part
so I'm
before.
just gonna stay on until it overheats.
Well, Alice and I are in.
So
Whoa,
when
I
what we're getting
said
to here is
just
where,
tonight. You
at
can
least for
take
me,
study
was
breaks.
where the meat was really
Besides, you've
starting
been
to happen.
uptight lately.
You start learning more
You
about the
need to take it easy
characters.
sometimes.
I'm game.
I have to call the guy
they
who
start
I'm
kind
borrowing
of
his Xbox
Wait, this
from
line.
to see if
introducing their
he's fine with me
backstories.
bricking his console.
Yeah.
Fucking love that
That's
line.
line.
Guess it's no issue
Just the
then.
way it's delivered,
I'll
just so
reset the score
casually.
and we'll start again in
Yeah.
5.
Especially like with
Danielle, I really
Alice
can't do
here,
this for
you
much
start
longer.
seeing
You've
more of the
studied
characters
enough.
come
You're a
out.
straight A student in your
All
third year
these
of
ideas,
college.
like all the
It should be a
background reasons
cakewalk by
on
now.
You don't
why
have to
all the
keep playing if
characters
you
have
don't want
stopped
to.
playing games, they aren't made up. They're people who I
Just
know
take some
who
breaks
have
from this for
struggled with
studying.
this, with
Try
their
to balance the
parents.
two.
For example, telling them don't play video games anymore. It's a waste of your
I'll
time. You can't be
try
doing
to
this.
make it work.
Or
That's the spirit.
people feeling
Hey
they
guys,
need to be
I got it
progressing
covered,
more
so
and they're
I'm good to
wasting
keep
too much
going.
of their own time on
Sweet.
games.
Let's keep going.
Or family, or work, or there's so much. I mean,
What?
all these
You tired
backstories
already?
are from people that I've known throughout the
5 in
years.
the morning. Of course I'm
Yeah,
tired.
like these are
dumbass.
all
Jeez,
things that
guess
resonate
it's
with
that
people.
time of the
Like
month.
my friend Joe, he
You
watches
believe
he
that
enjoys
guy?
watching
There are
Endgame,
tons
like
of guys like
just
that,
sort of like having it in the
especially
background.
online.
He really likes
Pisses
it.
me
He
off,
really liked
though.
it.
Yeah,
And he
well, he's
particularly
pissing everyone off.
identified with Alice and her struggles.
Where's
You know,
Alice?
there's
She has class in the morning,
if anyone's
so she went
played,
to bed.
if
I
anyone who
convinced her to
loves
leave her
games
console on,
who watches
so
this
she's sitting in
can
the
identify
spawn,
with at
probably
least
getting
one of these
killed over and
characters.
over.
Yeah. And it was really written in that
guys.
way. And so when
Yeah,
I was hearing some of that
guys,
stuff, I
I'm
was really
exhausted.
happy about that.
I
think the
I'm gonna
coolest
hit
thing
the
that
hay.
I
I'll be
heard
back
was
on tomorrow.
Yeah, it's starting
someone
to get to
someone
me
told me
too.
that they showed their
Have a good night,
grandfather
guys.
who played
See you guys
Tribes
tomorrow.
Ascend, and he related to it because of Tribes Ascend and all of his online friends. And I was like, that's such a huge jump in generations. That is so
Demon
cool.
will probably wake me up in a couple of
when
hours anyway.
When did this happen?
This happened a few days after.
Well, I did say I was
we
married. I
uploaded.
thought that would be
But
assumed.
I mean, in a way, the theme is timeless because as long as video games are going to be around, like that whole thing, it's going to happen.
Yeah,
people are going to meet and they're going to drift apart.
The thing is, I see it as beyond just being about games.
See you later,
it's more about holding on to the well, at least in Apache's case. You know, Apache is the connecting thread in all of this. You know, Endgame at its core is about learning to let go of past.
Yeah,
in order to accept an increasingly uncertain
hanging
future.
Out with people like that. They just well, in simple
So,
terms, they suck.
Carver
at this
right
game.
here.
Okay.
Carver was very much
I think
written
they'll
to
get
be
sick of this
the
pretty
most
quick and leave in
unlikable
a week
character
tops.
in anything you could have ever watched.
You fucking succeeded.
Shut up, Bakugo.
He was his inspiration. Yeah, I've heard. You weren't the first person who I've heard compared to Bakugo. Actually, the voice actor for Carver compared it to Bakugo from My Hero Academia.
Hoping the rocket would miraculously hit the mark.
And
it's a lock-on, dumbass.
You need time.
The real
to lock
inspiration
on.
actually
time
came
I didn't
from
have before they were out of
a
sight.
character named Adam from Arby and the
faster.
Chief, season 6.
Fuck.
Jeez, they're at it again.
Yeah, that's where that
At least
really
the
came
fourth
from.
time tonight.
I'm
Just a
gonna
game.
mention this real quick
Already
before it
a
goes
waste
away.
of time.
This
It's not
bridge
like
up here,
Carver
where
is in the
Carver
right
and Jason
here,
are
but
standing,
Jason just needs to ignore
I
him
didn't
like the
realize
rest
this
of us
until
do.
the end.
What the
There is
fuck are you
all
two
kinds
doing?
of
Your
issues
nails?
with
Go
that
get their
stupid
flag.
bridge.
You wanna
And
fuck off
you
already?
won't see it in this scene, but you'll see it in other moments where all of a sudden the characters
like
will
the
drop
rest
half
of us
like 6
do.
inches and then shoot back up. It's ridiculous, and I fixed it for the last scene.
Then fucking
But
leave,
before that,
crybaby.
it was just a constant problem I didn't realize until days before we were uploading.
So the
So what
messages
was-
were the issue.
I need to cool
What was the
off.
fix?
I'll be on tomorrow.
It was putting some forge pieces to hold it up. It was like a tension point that it was because of that over at the edge by the actual engine. It was jumping up and down. So it was physics.
Okay, so this
So-
guy right here.
So before because I know what you want to get into, this bit I was surprised people understood exactly what this was supposed to be. I was afraid someone just walking into a wall, people would have just been confused. But almost everyone that I've seen watch it has always been on the front of, oh, this guy's disconnecting or he's lagging as soon as they walk past.
Pretty
what
apparent
Naetle-
effect.
Yeah, the coloring, we intentionally lowered his volume there. Or
Yeah,
lowered.
we desaturated the blues in every shot with him, and further desaturated them when he's just a corpse to kind of more subtly drive the point home. You know, he is gone.
So, I'm sorry, real quick. Hallelujah that was just playing there.
Nobody wants to listen to your shitty music.
The reason
Oh,
we were
forgot you
playing
couldn't
that
mute people
was
on Halo
because,
2.
and it was kind of hard to pick
I
it
know,
up.
right?
He was playing a much more
Whatever. It's been
amateur,
2
like
weeks and
shittier
4 people have
version
already
at the
disconnected.
in the
We
very
have to make
opening
use
of
of whatever
Endgame.
time we have
And so
left.
this was like
Let's
a
do some
progression,
free-for-all
like he's
until
gotten
everyone
better
else
with the
shows up.
guitar. And it's just background stuff, and it was originally going to be a lot bigger of a point in this, but it really didn't need to be, so I cut.
Wait, that was him playing it?
That was
On the
him
guitar?
playing it.
Oh.
Yeah, I knew it was both times. I didn't know it was Hallelujah both times.
And that's game.
Now I get it.
All right. Now that everyone's
then-
here, I want to do a game of capture the flag.
Well, that's a surprise.
Oh, no,
I
never
know,
mind.
right?
Oh,
Looking
shut
at
it.
the
This time it's
wrong
different.
scene.
How about a one flag assault? Everyone has one
Where
life.
am I?
Each flag cap is an end to a round. First to 3 flag caps wins.
The voice acting,
sound half bad.
Yeah, it's different at least.
voice acting right here
I'd be
for the
down
middle
as
tan
long as we don't
character.
have him on our
He
team.
was last minute and he just pulled it off perfectly.
What? We've got an
That's
okay
great.
team here with the
I
exception
love
of
that
2
smash
girl
cut.
gamers.
Oh, I love it.
What?
Come on, man. There's no reason for that.
So
Whatever.
actually, when I was picking the voice actors for Jason and Carver, I was prioritizing
stand
the
that
ability
guy?
to showcase anger more than anything else. I wasn't looking for a
He's
good sounding voice.
normally
I mean, I
better.
was, but I was looking for what anger can can these characters translate
what's the
and really
plan?
make everyone feel
They've got
anger
two guys
and
on
like
the mounted
venom
machine
in
guns
it.
up front.
And
I'm sure
I
they have a
feel that
sniper too, while
these
the rest of
actors
them are
did a
playing it safe
fantastic
inside the
job with
base.
it.
So we'll
I
need
had
a
a little
sniper to
too
take out
much
one
fun
or both of the
writing
machine gunners
both
while we try to get close.
both the arguments between them and then being in those voice acting lobbies and doing it with them. I mean, those were fun.
If nobody else
I had a
wants
little
it,
too
then
much
fine.
fun with it, but I mean, I think that's one of the most fun moments I've had in the entirety of this project. Just all the background arguing, writing it, directing it, even putting it together.
All right, you two run up left and get the attention of the machine gunners. I'll run up right with Apache and you.
Just the way it's lyric.
Sounds good.
The slow
Let's go.
turn. Shut up, Bakugo.
I had some people, when I linked them Endgame, they questioned why their team colors were like their secondary, like why the team colors kept swapping. And the obvious reason, you know, if anyone who's familiar with, you know, how these games work, is that it's so that
Good. Now the next
you know,
one.
you actually know who these characters are. So they're not all
I
monocolor.
wanted them to still be on teams and showcase that they're on teams, but I didn't want to have 5 main characters that were all blue.
Exactly.
And then 1 elite. I didn't think that would have worked right, so that's why it went to that.
Yeah, and obviously, you know, this is Halo 2 anniversary. There are multiple armor permutations, but this is this is technically supposed to be vanilla Halo 2, and we were going back and forth for a while on whether or not this should be Halo 2 anniversary or vanilla
You
Halo
know
2.
when they say to choose your battles, that doesn't mean you shouldn't fight in any of them.
This line right here, I wasn't sure how well that translated. It sounded really good in scripting format, but it seems like a lot of people were all questioning like, what does that mean? Because most of the time when you hear choose your battles, it's a matter of you're picking too many fights, so stop it. And so in this circumstance, it was you're not picking enough fights. So that's what that was supposed to be there.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Let's move it on 3.
It's an interesting inversion that no one really sees.
It.
Yeah.
This wasn't as fun as I thought.
But,
let's do something else
back
instead.
to the thing about
fucking loser you are.
vanilla
it has
versus
nothing to do
anniversary.
With me dying. Even if it did,
PT was really gunning for anniversary from the get-go.
You are the
I would have loved to do Halo 2. It's just a matter of I can get like these shots. A lot of these shots you can't get in Halo 2.
It's a fucking video game. You need to let loose.
A lot of these shots you wouldn't be able to get in just base Halo 2 because there's no theater mode. And so that was one of the prime reasons I went for Halo 2 Anniversary, as well as interest. No one's looking for Halo 2 machinimas anymore, but they are looking for Halo 2 Anniversary machinimas.
Thank you for your
Exactly.
support.
Like I was all about doing it all in vanilla, and I finally relented
for the game.
To do anniversary, to have it be an anniversary.
I don't have an
And
Xbox 360.
we had the compromise of
I wouldn't be
having
able to
some
play it
vanilla
even if
stuff
I wanted.
bookending it.
Yeah, same here.
And somewhere we talked about like what if like some fan went and recreated the whole thing in vanilla Halo 2.
That would have been really cool.
Yeah, you said that you would be all for it.
Oh, absolutely. So this bit right here with Carver,
we've derailed their entire schedule.
This whole thing, this whole argument he's got saying, there were a lot of people that I found that had these exact viewpoints about people leaving Halo 2 to go play the Reach beta.
I don't think that fly was so.
There were a lot of people like that, and out of the Noble 12, one person did leave to go play the Reach beta, but there was a very big chunk of people that really didn't like the fact that Microsoft were trying to bribe them to leave.
On the note of the guy that left to play Reach, he was part of one of the only streams, and they had like of the last days, and there was a big audience, and he just entertained the notion of going and playing the Reach beta, and he got so much fucking hate for it. He didn't bring it up again, but people kept harassing him about it. So he eventually left out of So eventually he left Halo 2 to play the Reach beta out of spite.
Is it just you on?
Just you and me.
Which is really
Everyone
funny.
else is probably sleeping. We were all up pretty late last night.
I think I would have preferred that versus the versus him actually just wanting to play Reach. I like the idea of him doing it out of spite.
He's an asshole.
Well, it was out of spite
He's
and
so
so that
on
people would
winning the
stop
game,
haranguing him
he's
about
not really
it.
trying to enjoy
Yeah.
himself, so he just
So,
yells at people
with
for
Alice
stupid
here,
reasons.
she's the only time you'll ever see The only time you'll ever see Alice open up is in a personal, like, one-by-one connection. You'll never see her like talk to 2 or 3 people
had some stuff to think about
and
last
be
night.
really open. And it was very
Back
much
when we
written
played
that
this
way.
game
She was a very
nearly
personal
every day,
person, wasn't very
3 or
public.
4 years ago,
And so
my
that's why
parents
you get these.
hated it.
You get not
They
only
saw
this,
this as
but one
nothing but a
other
waste of
one-on-one moment
You should be
between
studying.
Alice
You should be
and Apache,
working.
and then
You
even
should
at
be
one
doing
point,
anything
almost off
else
screen, is
but
between
this.
her and
they're
Jason.
Nothing good comes out of wasting
it-
your life away on games.
She isn't a very public person.
I
you know,
don't think that's true.
and it's
Anything
very
you
much
enjoy isn't a
intentional.
waste of time, especially in moderation. I mean,
even
these games are
at
an
one
escape.
point with
A few hours a day
with
that I don't have to
Apache,
think about my
Danielle,
future
and
or my
Alice,
current
Alice
situation
doesn't
or
chime in
rent
like
or
at
whatever.
all, but she's listening. She's just not chiming
Just a
in.
small amount of time each day or each week that I can
And
just
so
have with some friends.
I don't want to start any new conversations because of
Like, remember when
right
Jason
here.
ordered that pizza?
And when the pizza delivery guy came over, he tried to get him to cover for him on the game while he went to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
So that story,
It's
while
things
made
like
up,
that. Memories and
I
jokes
was
with
trying to
friends.
capture
They make the time spent
the
on you
humor
worthwhile.
in one other story.
Listen,
And
I'm
I'm sure
back.
both of you will remember this
Play
one.
some Halo.
We had a friend named Cody.
Oh,
this
story.
We
The
were
princess
playing
that rage
GTA,
quit after she
right?
messed up and
And
fucked
he
over the
really
team.
needed to drop a
We didn't even
deuce.
finish the game.
And his
Yeah,
solution
why
was
would we, when
to
out of the 6
grab a
people we
McDonald's
have,
cup,
one can't
and
aim,
while playing
and
the
another
game,
team kills because
just
of some white
shit
knight
in the McDonald's
bullshit.
cup, and then
down that
keep
sniper.
playing.
Any McDonald's
Well,
cup.
when he
It was a sweet tea McDonald's cup.
so he was grabbing it,
You should be just as sick of him as I
squeezing
am.
one out, and
I guess, as
he
everyone
was
else
also
is.
squeezing the cup, which involved crushing the cup.
And tearing the cup.
he had to run to the bathroom, and because of that, it's just one hilarious
Jesus,
memory we
what
have
is the
from that.
matter with you?
And his Cody's personal account of the story, moments after it happened, is online.
Not listening
Yeah,
to
it's
your every
it's
demand?
over on my
I'm
channel
so
on
sorry
PT
you
Platinum.
couldn't have
It
the
was
shotgun and the
it's
sniper.
got very minimal editing, but you can hear him retell the story. Because it was great, because like he's telling us this whole time that he's gonna do it, and all of a sudden we hear, "Oh no!" and then his mic cut.
And I'm not just talking video games
Yeah,
either. Why else would you be
I actually
working
caught up with
construction?
Cody last weekend. He came
Because
down,
it pays
and
the
apparently he had been
bills,
offered
dipshit.
to do stand-up, but he personally can't really write material. He's very spur of the moment, and that is a spur of the moment kind of thing.
Yeah.
that he's great. That he's great for, but that's a whole other thing.
This. And I'm sure it's very hard for you. Lifting
So
things
scene
all
7
day.
right
Oh,
here.
cry me a river.
I have this one
Listen here, you little-
memorized, absolutely beginning to end. I mean, I have most of Endgame memorized,
you
but
just tell
this one
me to choose my
particularly, I
battles?
can name like every beat and when it's gonna happen. Because this was, it was like what we were talking about with Primus. This was the first scene that I had to work on, and I wanted to get this one out to the voice actors. There's
Hey, Jay.
blinding, glowing Tyler.
Oh,
Yeah.
We tried to bring him down.
Yeah, we tried to fix
He
that.
went to cool off.
It's like a holy priest walking in.
Carver.
Well,
I mean, that's kind
Let's
that's
just
kind
give him
of
some time.
unintentional, but it's fitting considering his sort of role.
Yeah. So,
So-
what was that on about? Right, scene 7. I was trying to get it out to the voice actors so they could see some progress on it. But because of that, it's like I like the scene, but I'm not 100% happy with it because I've worked on it for so long.
I was like that with a couple scenes in Primus too.
A moment ago, and I was mid monologue, so I couldn't comment on it. When it said infection, there actually isn't an infection game mode in base Halo 2. The way it was originally played was through honor rules. It was like red team and green team, and you would spawn with a secondary energy sword, which is why all these characters are spawning with secondary energy swords. So that if they wanted to do infection, you would just, if you got killed by someone on the green team with an energy sword, you would just switch to green team, pull out your energy sword, and not use the shotgun. So it was just honor rules by it. But there was no real way to convey that, and so I just had to put in the voice line of infection there.
Yeah, just to get it out of the way.
Flag captured.
So I want to say something real fast about Actually, no. No, this isn't specific to that to the thing I'm thinking of. I can come back to it.
What?
All right.
All right.
You not saying anything? No big talk from the big tough guy
So,
now?
What is there to say?
The music of like the
obviously
slow,
need this
chill
win to feel good about
song that we had there
So have
just a little bit ago,
Bitch,
and
I
like
always
it just
feel good
made
about
everything
myself.
seem
It's
empty,
just
the
more
whole
fun to
map.
put someone else in their
That was
place.
kind of showing people are leaving. It's getting less people are playing.
See. You don't have your
So,
girlfriend here to fight
I mean,
for you.
there was a lot
Or
of
at
thought
least to
that went
calm
into
you
the music
down.
choice
You're
on
furious,
if it
aren't
fit
you?
if it
I mean, I
fit
can
well or
see it.
not.
Finally,
It also
understanding
kind of helped
just
that
how
almost
useless
all
you
these
are
scenes
without
were filmed
someone carrying you
offline.
through
I
life.
had
Dude,
2
knock it
Xboxes
off.
and 8 controllers,
What?
and I just
I'm only
did
stating the
most,
truth.
if not all, the body acting. The exceptions were 2 and 9.
I
And even
helped.
then-
What the hell?
Yeah.
What?
And even then,
You
the
had
entirety
to.
of those
helped.
scenes
Even
weren't
his followers
all
were getting
online.
sick of his shit.
There were just parts of them.
It's just a game.
I mean, yeah, but it would have been great to finally make that asshole choke on his words.
I really like this bit.
Good luck winning without me.
Shut up, Bakugo.
Hold on a second.
All right.
So
what's
earlier,
next?
We could do Slayer.
so the
Just
original
free for all.
writing for when
That sounds good. Apache,
Carver
can you go
kind of
let
crossed the
everyone else
line
know?
there and yelled
Yeah,
at
sure.
Jason. The original line there was Jason was supposed to be getting in
Does
Carver's
he
face,
Seem a little
and then like
standoffish?
back up, but it just
mean, a
didn't
little,
translate
but
too well. It's supposed to be
he's
like
kind of
him
always
getting
been
really
like
angry and then stepping back, but it didn't work. And so we
All right,
just
we're good to
stuck
go.
with what we had for
well,
that.
except for Carver. He left.
Good.
I'm back.
Sweet. We're about to do some free-for-all.
All right, but that's my last match.
Oh, yeah?
So
Are you
this
getting tired?
was, I mean, this
No,
is
I just got a call from work.
the first
There's a
of
job out of state
any
they
of the
need
real
me for, and
characters
it's
leaving.
paying a hefty chunk
And I
of
really
change.
wanted this to
I leave in the morning, so this is my last match.
really seem important. It didn't seem as important when Dinduk was leaving, for example.
That's fine.
But I
You
really
take care
wanted
of you
this
first,
one
man.
Yeah.
to start.
Let's
I
have
guess
a
the
good last match then.
downhill slide to it, to the
Yeah,
end.
yeah. Like the thing with Dim Duck was that he was just sort of a random dude. Like the audience didn't care. It was just
Hey,
a blue
Jason.
guy. Whereas with Jason, we've
Whoa,
been with
whoa,
him
whoa.
since the beginning.
Weapons
We're
lowered.
halfway through it, and this is the first of the core
What's
group
up?
of characters
I wanted to talk to you about your work.
to go.
All right. What
Yeah.
about
So
it?
it had
So-
to be handled
It's just
right.
a day job, isn't
Yeah.
it? I
So
hate
that
doing
lowering
jobs
weapon
like that,
animation a
but I
second
need
ago.
money to keep fueling my hobbies.
All those
So how do you
lowering
do it?
weapon
Or
animations are
why
all
do
reversed
you do
footage. You can't
Everyone
lower
needs
your weapon
work.
in Halo 2
That's how we
Anniversary
stay
unless you're
alive, How we
jumping.
afford food.
And so, honestly, it doesn't look
Oh.
as bad as it does in like other
My
games.
mom has some physical
it
issues that
translates
she can't get
pretty
around.
well.
She goes in
And
out
it
of
makes
employment from
at
injuries
the
or
beginning of the next
exhaustion,
scene,
so I work
there's
to help her out.
Danielle and
It's your
Apache
life,
and Alice
isn't it?
all talking,
I mean, I
and
don't mean to
Apache
discredit
and
what you're
Danielle
doing,
keep
but
lowering and
you
raising
shouldn't
their
be
guns,
forced to
I'm
help.
not
and
forced
that
to. When you have
was
family you care
difficult.
about, you do what you can to help them.
Because there's a lot of
Now,
reverse
even with
footage,
that,
like
I don't think
fit
I'm forced
with
into a position
forward
without
footage
growth.
and just trying to get
I've
everything
got
to
good
work.
relations with my boss, and I'm a hard
'Cause
worker.
I was trying not
so
to cut it
promotions
too
aren't
much.
too far out there for me.
Uh,
That's why I'm leaving. in
It
the
all
morning.
blends together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this dialogue right
Was
here,
that all you wanted to talk about?
how it ends right here, there was some cut dialogue
Thanks.
where Jason was going to ask Apache about his gamer tag, because the way
Alright,
that I
guys,
had it
that's it
scripted,
for me.
all the characters
It was
they
great
go
to
by
see
their
y'all
names:
again.
Tyler, Alice,
Yeah, same
Danielle,
here, man.
Jason,
Your job.
Carver.
See you
I
later.
mean, all the random characters.
Yeah.
I really didn't put any
See ya.
focus or emphasis on.
They weren't
But-
important.
Yeah, they weren't important. So all the characters went by their first names, despite all having gamer tags. Apache was the only one who went by his gamer tag, so it's gonna have Jason confirm him about that. But ultimately, that just got cut because it just didn't work
Didn't fit.
right. Yeah, I felt it was too cheesy, and so it just didn't.
Do you guys
so I
remember
cut
when
that.
we used to do this when
Okay,
we were
so
bored?
I want to use this scene
Yeah.
in particular as a bit of a
Target
talking
practice.
point on one
Or
note of
just something to
the
keep us busy while
the
we
coloring
talk.
process.
Yeah.
We knew that we didn't want to go overboard with
some of us
altering
have
or
too much
enhancing the
going
color
on to
because we
just
still wanted
spend our
it to
time doing
feel
this.
like it was a proper game,
Jason
but
has his job,
we wanted to
Tyler
convey
has his
certain
family.
times of day
Yeah, but
outside of the
this is
game
like a
with some
de-stressor.
very subtle hues
Only
and
if there is
shifts.
something
And this is
stressful,
the
that
most
is.
prominent example, but it's not overbearing. There's a blue
I've been out
hue
of work for 2.5
over this because it's
weeks.
taking place late at night.
I'm on paid leave, so that's not the problem.
And again, it's not
But
overbearing.
besides my
We
day
went
job, I
through
really don't have
a
anything
few
else
different,
going on.
few different
I
tones,
just
a few
wake
different
up, play video
depths of
games,
hue,
and go to bed.
and ultimately, I think this came
I
out
just
really well. This particular scene.
Feel like I'm wasting my time.
It did.
Like I should make something
It
or
was-
work towards
There's
something.
one shot in particular.
Yeah, it's a
Everyone says
silhouette
that.
shot when
Like
we
they
get to
need
that
to
one.
stand out or make the most
Like
out
there,
of life.
we actually
But isn't
had
just
a
enjoying
set,
each day enough?
No.
a color grading that basically
there
would have made
needs
them
to be
proper
goals for
silhouettes, but it was,
Something
it
to
just didn't
strive
work as well as
towards.
we thought it would.
Yeah.
Otherwise, each
I
day
mean,
just
it
feels
still
like
works
another
pretty well.
wasted
We're about to get to it. I believe it's this next shot here.
Do you know what I mean?
It still works really well.
Not that I'm upset with how my life is going.
It's
or
just
anything.
not. It wasn't
I just
perfect.
feel
It wasn't like black and
stagnant.
white.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
on another note, as
Stagnant.
the colors are actually shifting and changing as the whole movie goes on, the contrast is being upped ever so slightly every so often. Saturation's being brought down every so often, but it's not desaturated
Hello?
entirely.
Oh,
And
you're awake.
in many shots,
Yeah,
you can
did
see
I
the
pass
sky
out
is
on
progressively getting grayer.
Yeah.
That's
you're
a subtle little thing we
snorer,
don't really
if you
bring
didn't
attention.
know.
We didn't bring too much
Moon,
attention to, and in
did you
some
get any
shots we
sleep?
straight up
No.
couldn't
I'm
make the
staying
sky any much less blue. But
to try and fix my sleep schedule.
it's a lot of little things.
Thanks, Tyler. That really helps.
So Danielle was a character I wish I put
Hey,
more into.
Apache?
There's a lot that I went
While
into
you
with
were out,
Alice or with
someone else
Jason.
disconnected.
So that
I
means
mean,
we just
especially
have
Apache, and then
6 people
Tyler
left?
because I was kind of mixed in together at the end.
What's up?
But Danielle was someone I wish I put
And
more
yet,
into.
He is.
She was
still
she
I see
almost
we're
felt a
short a
little
couple
tacked
guys,
on at
and
some
one of them will
points.
be dearly
And
missed.
I really align with that character a lot. I just wish I kind
3v3?
of capitalized on it a little more.
Okay, we need one of you guys to switch teams.
Here we go. All right.
All right, I'll go.
Got it.
So here is when we
Perfect. 3v3
really
isn't
started
enough for
getting
CTF,
deeper and deeper
sadly,
with
so we'll
washing
just
all
have
the
to make
colors
do with
out.
Slayer.
We wanted to get
Go
everything
ahead and head to your
darker.
spawns.
We're really building up to the conflict
Bullshit!
and climax at this point.
Best 2 out of 3.
Okay.
Now with Carver here,
Fuck!
he got
Why isn't
progressively.
anyone watching my back?
I mean, I'm sure this is no secret. He got progressively more and more harder to deal with, and just angrier and angrier.
Best 3 out of 5.
And there were a few reasons
It's
to
not
that.
really a
I
competition,
mean,
man.
one
We'll go
was
again if you want.
there wasn't
Yes,
Jason
right
to
now.
argue
Whoa.
with,
I have to go put my
so
kid
there was
back
just
down
no
to
outlet
sleep.
for
He
that.
woke up in the middle of that
And then
last match.
two,
Whatever.
it was
Take
just
5 then.
closer and closer to the end. For Carver, this is all
What does he
he
think he
has.
is?
It's
Wasting everyone's
just this
time like
game.
that.
And so it's closer and closer to the end of that experience.
Bullshit.
And so it
This is
was a
history
whole
in
lot
the
of
making.
desperation
The
in
last
his
games of
character
Halo
and his
2
lines.
Online.
Oh,
You'd think he would
here
take it
comes
more seriously.
one of
Halo
those
2 on
lines.
PC.
That doesn't count.
Why not? It's Halo 2, just like here.
There's
So let's talk about strategy.
there's
When I say watch
Lone
my
Maverick,
back, I mean
or
tell
as
me
the
if
voice
I'm
actor
about
was
to
Zeph
get hit
Maverick,
by a
who picked up
fucking
this
warthog.
character
Can't just
very
expect
last minute
us to be there
and
for
just
your
nailed
support
it.
all the
Absolutely
time.
loved it.
If
It was
you were paying
originally
attention,
some
you
other
would notice
guy,
that we were staying in the
and
base when you went
they didn't do the
charging in
lines
left.
right,
I'm the team
and there was this
leader.
background
You
like
follow me
beeping,
so
and I
we
couldn't
can
get rid of
win.
it.
It's not like
So it
you
was
can
just
do
better
any better
to.
with that shit aim I saw
Sadly, I
earlier.
just cut
It's
him.
a BR,
I couldn't
not a
really
fucking machine
work
gun.
with redos on it.
What
Oh, she
happened?
did.
Why did she leave?
I don't know. She cut off mid-sentence.
She's really washed
I'm
out
texting
there.
her to
I really
find
like
out.
that.
Yeah, this is when things
Well, this
start
is just great.
getting more noticeably
Now the
washed
teams are
out.
uneven.
Are you
And
Wasn't
again,
it
that
on
was
purpose?
intentional.
No, why would I joke
Yeah, it
about
was.
that? Now someone has to sit out in these next
Absolutely
few games.
on purpose.
Her router disconnected.
And there's
Then
one
I guess she isn't coming
particular
back.
shot
So I guess it's only fair if one of our guys sits out
later
this
in the
next game.
scene
Apache, how about you?
that also
do it.
emphasizes another shift in color.
All right, well, I'll swap with you next round.
So
Oh, no, I'll
with
leave
this scene, I really
What?
like to take.
Why?
I took
I'm
like
tired
ambient
of
sounds
your
and use that
fucking
to
whining. It's always
show
someone
stress
else's
in like an
fault. I
argument.
wanna win, I
So
can't
earlier, right
lose.
before
It's a
Danielle left, that was
fucking
the sound
video
of the
game, dude.
windmill that I just turned the
We were
volume up
given
progressively
Reach,
more and more.
beta code,
And what's picking up
and I'm
right
sure I
now,
can have a better
that's the
time
sound
there
of
with
an
randoms
idle
than
energy
play
sword on the
Halo 2
ground.
with you for another 2 weeks.
So
You
I
really
picked
need to
that up
grow
in the
the
background
fuck
from
up.
Danielle, from the energy sword she dropped. I just picked that up and then just enhanced it and brought it up.
I never realized that.
Apache.
Yeah,
I didn't.
it's the sound for the Halo 2
Let's go.
anniversary energy sword is different than like any other Halo game.
Oh yeah.
And so,
Oh yeah.
no, I didn't have anything else to say on that one. What were you saying?
Okay, cut the shot, the close-up shot of Carver shooting Lone Maverick. That marked the second color shift because it's noticeable. Every other shot preceding that in that scene of Carver, you know, his black, like he had various, you know, lighter black
Apache,
tones,
where
but
the hell
in
are
that
you?
shot he was like the contrast was turned up. He was a lot darker. He was, it was much deeper black, much deeper
it's
blacks.
about damn time.
Yeah.
And
that's one.
You know, the color kind of the saturation kind of went down a little bit.
And that's two.
For the rest of that scene, it's kind of carrying here.
So, with
nice one.
With
We
this
just need
whole
one more.
sequence here, Carver's the only one talking, and that was meant to put in some tense into the scene
There
here.
we go.
No one
That's
was
how we do
really
it.
at ease enough to talk. Alice is already pretty soft-spoken. Tyler and Apache were both just noticeably not talking. And so
Finally, a good
Carver's the
game.
only one that pretty much talks in the
Who's ready
scene,
for the next
except for this line with Alice right here.
I'm going to bed. I'll talk to you guys later.
I really like that shot. I had to go back and refilm just to get that one.
I guess it's a 1v1 then. You ready to go?
Yeah.
And now, scene 9. I think this one's my favorite scene out of everything else in Endgame. It starts off slow. This is supposed to be something of a breather, right before the climax. So like it's been rising action, really since Jason left, or even just a little bit before then.
Yeah, this whole sequence gives the audience a moment to breathe, some levity.
Yeah. I mean, it has some meat in it, like right here between Apache and Alice. But then, I mean, it's not elevating anything. But then after that, it's just kind of cooling off and very, very lax.
And something here that you suggested when we were coloring is that when Apache is approaching Alice, you know, things are still
Apache.
you know, color-wise, they're still a bit desaturated. But after she shoots him,
Has it just been you
he kind of enters her world, and things are a bit more
Everyone else is off
colorful
doing their own thing.
to sort of signify that, you know,
It's
he's
getting pretty
feeling
boring
much
waiting for
more,
everyone to get on.
much
Weren't
more
you telling
comfortable,
me the
much
other day
safer.
that this was a waste of time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think it is to some extent, but hearing how you justified it,
There were
got me
a lot of
thinking.
nights that this was
I enjoyed
that this was inspired by of just playing Halo and sometimes not even doing anything, just jumping around and every now and then shooting.
Shooting
I remember just like screwing around in Forge. I remember like spending uncountable nights just like building random ass structures, not even like to save the file.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
right,
what some friends
Danielle
of mine
told
and
me
I would do
that
is
she's been
we'd
doing
get
great after this
on
semester.
Sandbox.
Oh yeah?
Yeah,
and we
she
just get in
found
the
some coworkers
skybox
to go
and we
hang
just
out with.
build
She
stuff,
still doesn't
and we'd
have
have
a
like
goal, like
tiny wars
what
just
she
building
talked about with
fortresses
us
as we're
yet,
fighting.
but she feels like she's moving at least.
The kids nowadays would say, "But that's Fortnite, right?" And well, maybe I don't know. I haven't played Fortnite.
That's Fortnite now.
Carver, everyone seems to get angry.
Am
with
I
him.
out of touch?
Even his friends.
No, it's the children who are wrong.
It's the children who
Yes,
are wrong.
He's always there.
Oh man.
Were you waiting for me?
What? No.
The voice actor for
you.
Apache.
Surprise!
I went through some extra
I'm
detail
coming
getting
back
him
for you.
I narrowed it down to
I'd like to see
3
you
people,
try.
and then out of those 3, I was like,
best
hey,
idea to walk
here's
next
the
to
ending monologue
explosives."
from Apache. I can't choose between you 3. Can you guys send me this? And so they sent me that, and when I first listened to the voice actor we got for Apache, I wasn't feeling it, and it took me a few times, and I kept listening to like all of them together. And what I really liked about the one I did choose is because it didn't have as much power, and I realized later that it was because when he delivered the lines, it was very much. It had the emotion of it. It wasn't trying to force out the emotion, like just letting it go. It was trying to hold it back and still letting it out. It was like just a little bit of restraint that came out in the voice, and I was like, this is perfect. I can't see anyone else being this. And so, I mean, when I heard that and figured out what I was hearing, I was like, I can't choose any of the others.
So this whole sequence, this was the 3 of us basically fucking around.
Yeah.
And me
No,
wanting
no,
the
no.
scene to
I'm
look
done
better
now.
kept picking up
What, you're getting
needlers
winded from
because
playing
like,
a video
oh, pretty
game?
lights will make it look cooler.
No, I just want to talk to
And you were giving me shit because I knew the
Alright, well
maps
then-
because I actually
No,
played
I was
Halo
giving
2
you shit
online.
because you just
know, I
picked
just
up power
feel like
weapons.
Because I knew
all
the
you
maps.
Remember when we would just shoot
Because
shit
I knew
back
the
then?
maps.
But you would
wasn't all
just
the
use the
shooting.
power weapons. It turned Alice into this
Yeah, but it
power-hungry
certainly helped.
maniac.
Yeah,
Well, maybe that's what she was a whole along.
How about this? Hey, look, it's that gray sky.
Yeah.
If you ever need someone to talk to,
But
I'm always here.
think of it like this. Alice is just getting up her pent-up aggression.
She's had enough of everyone's shit.
She's had enough of
This is her
Carver's
John
shit.
Wick origin story.
Oh, there's that sky again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
really
just
like
some
that
bullshit at work. They said they'd
the
fire
focal
me if I
point
didn't go in.
between
Huh.
this scene
So
and
that's
the
what you were
previous
doing?
scene.
Yeah, I gave
was-
them my schedule. They shouldn't ask
I
more
mean,
of me.
was the big
I'm already
generator,
putting my
the
free
big
time
windmill
into the
thing.
company and for shit pay too.
I like that. That was still the focus of it.
Oh, hey Tyler.
I
Is
I
Alice
find
with you?
it so
No,
like
she left last
it's
night.
funny. Even up into the very end, you kept finding
voluntarily.
ways of
At
making
least I don't
Carver
think so.
more and more
The
despicable.
power may have gone out. Or
Yeah.
Just with that,
set.
just with that
So
line
now it's just
about
us
oh,
three?
I'm putting my free time into the company for shit
guess all
pay.
that's left is
Just like
free-for-all.
Jesus Christ,
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah, you're
I'm
not
finishing
that
up something
much of
right
an
now.
asset to the
Give me a few
company.
minutes.
Sorry,
we can
man.
talk in the meantime.
Yeah, especially in
About
especially in the
what?
2010s.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just something to laugh about.
So
I finished
when,
up this reporter.
He
It'd only be
mentioned
like
that
10 minutes.
Or
that
we
Alice
play
left.
a 1v1 while you finish
Everyone
your work.
left on screen.
If you
Danielle
really
was the
can't
only one
wait,
who
then go
left
ahead.
off screen,
Good.
but everyone had
Let's
their
go,
reason.
Apache.
Alice, I have a reason for. I'm not going to say what that reason was, and I'm perfectly fine with people not knowing what that reason was, because
coming?
that's what it was like in the actual last
No,
game.
I kinda
People
just
were
wanna talk
gone,
for a bit,
and people
too.
didn't know why.
We've played
Just they'd be
plenty of
talking to
matches.
someone, and then
This game's just
they were just
getting a bit
they just
stale
dropped.
What the
Yeah,
and
fuck
I
are you
think-
talking about?
Like, I
And I
actually
think-
missed the
We've been
first
playing
time
this game for
that
years,
Alice
and now,
was
right
gone. I
before
missed
we
the
can't play it anymore,
quote
you get bored
reason
of
or
it?
lack thereof.
I'm not bored of it. I
It's
just
just a change of pace is all.
So
Well, excuse
right here,
me if I
this
wanna
is when
use
we
what
started
little time we
progressively
have left
washing
on
up
the
the
game
color
to actually play the
intensely.
fucking game.
Not only
It's
that,
just 10 minutes.
but
Gradually
In
as
just
well.
10
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah.
someone's
Not-
connection could
but
go
also,
off. In
Carver
just
got
10
angrier
minutes,
and
someone could
angrier. The
accidentally
shots
kick
got
the power
tighter
break.
and tighter.
In just 10
We
minutes,
did everything we could to just
Microsoft could
really
pull the
make
plug on us.
the
I want this
longer
to go
that
on
the
as
scene went
long as
on, the
possible.
more
I
intense
want
it
to be
got.
the last one standing. I want people to understand how
And
important
I
this
think
fucking game
I think we
is.
nailed
This
this
is
pretty
just
well.
another game. We've played
I,
hundreds.
when
like,
doing the voice
only
acting
difference
sessions,
is
I
that
got
it hasn't
carried
ended.
away
This isn't like any
with
other
all the
game.
voice actors
We've
in
been
this, where I
broadcasted.
extended
News
into the
stations,
next scene. I was like,
Bungie,
hold on, hold on.
other fans of the game
We're
all
just doing the
know who
voices
we
for
are
this right
and
now.
what
I need
we're
to
doing.
stop.
This is more than any other game.
You can take a break.
'Cause I would-
This game isn't
I
going
read the
anywhere.
lines
It is
of who they were
going.
playing to.
Okay. And 6 years aren't enough. Look, man, there are other games. There are other Halos. This isn't the end of the world.
Oh, fuck
The
off!
voice actor
Come on,
for
Apache.
for
We don't need
Carver
him to
was
play.
spot on.
Leave him to do
all
his work, and
throughout,
we'll have a 1v1.
all throughout
Why
the
is it
machinima.
such a big deal?
And
to
it was
you?
just
If he doesn't want to play, you
progressively,
can't force him.
I'm
or not even
forcing
just
him.
progressively.
You
He was
weren't
just
even
always
trying
bringing
to
his A
convince
game
him.
to
You're
it.
just demanding
We
he
had
does
some
what you
weird
want.
things when
Shut up.
recording audio where it wasn't picking it up at the beginning, so he had to do like this hum, and it was weird him going from like Buddha
Apache,
to like this
take
annoying
him.
Xbox kid.
Oh.
You're like,
From the game.
fuck you! Like it was.
He can go fuck himself for all I care.
The thing is, like, he is the
Really?
embodiment of
You can't deal with
every
things not
asshole
going
on
your way, so
Xbox
you just
Live
decide
before
to
party
remove the
chat was
person
really a
on the
thing.
How mature of you.
Absolutely.
Go fuck yourself.
So real
Apache,
quick,
kick
this
ass
next
white.
shot right here, I had this one planned since the
Kick
beginning,
him.
and because of
Kick
that,
him.
that's why Tyler's
God
white,
damn
that's
it,
why
Apache.
Carver's black.
Fucking
The
It was
angel and the
supposed to
devil.
be, yeah, it's supposed to be symbolism of angel and the devil on your shoulder. Two different thoughts going through Apache's mind.
So if Carver was the hardcore god, does that mean Tyler is a softcore god?
I hate him.
No,
hate
he's
his
not core god.
voice. I hate his attitude. I hate his complaining. And I
No,
hate his
no,
competitive
no.
bullshit.
Tyler's the
Most of
day
all,
man.
I hate
Carver is the night
he
man.
was there when you
Darkness.
and Alice and everyone else
No,
left.
no,
I
no.
was
You
still
guys
here.
don't know that? I mean, I don't even fucking like It's
Everyone
Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but I
left.
think that
Everyone
shit's hilarious.
moved
Never seen it.
on. And I was still working part-time and playing Xbox.
I personally don't
So-
like Always Sunny.
And shortly
So, and
after,
I've heard this
I met
before
Carver.
about
And
why
I
didn't
never
Carver get
liked
any?
him, but I kept running into him.
He didn't evolve.
Night after
he
night.
he didn't
until I
improve. Every
realized that
character
he
had
wasn't
something change about
leaving.
them throughout this.
He wasn't going to move
especially
on.
Apache.
And
But
leave
Carver didn't.
I
And
figured that
Carver,
having
the only
someone,
reason he was
even
there,
an
like he was pretty
asshole,
much,
was
he was
better
very
than
much an
having no
antagonist
one.
through most of it, or the closest thing to an antagonist through most of it.
Without so much as a
but
goodbye.
the primary
You met
reason
someone
he
else
was
and
there
thought, oh,
was
fuck
for a
those
flaw
other
in
guys.
Apache's character.
I thought
Apache
we were all
just didn't
close.
want to be alone, and he
Turns
didn't
out we
want
were
to
just
move
kidding
on, so he kept Carver knowing that knowing that Carver wouldn't do either of those things.
When I got out of college,
It was the whole reason. And so at that point when he
saw
kicked him, that was
tons
him
of opportunities.
moving on and getting over that.
employment, careers, investment.
And so that was the
Everything
whole
was
reason that Carver was supposed to be there in the first place.
I had to put down
So this
the
whole
easy life I had to
exchange
get where I wanted to be.
between Apache and Tyler,
It never crossed my mind what
like this really hit hard for me.
friends come and go, but
Like
this
unlike
was
friends
I
from high school
wept.
or work, you don't see those
Dude,
friends while out
the
It's
with
Apache's
voice
voice
acting.
actor.
When you stop being
Apache's
able to
voice
use the
actor,
medium
like
used
you
to
can
be on,
hear his
you
voice
try to
shaking throughout it.
Stop talking.
Him and even Tyler.
It wasn't just
and
me.
that I had to, especially during this
Jason
bit,
Souls'
sitting
console,
down with him,
Alice got
doing
busy
the
with
lines
school.
with him.
Danielle with work,
I got more
me with my
emotional
family.
going through the lines with him than I did probably editing it.
Have you been here since we all left 3 years ago?
It was just like surreal, I guess.
What did you tell me? That you wanted to be a musician? Is that right? What happened to the guy who played guitar through the mic?